Evening all, welcome to Live Chat 77 here on Brooksy's Bass Corner, coming to you all the way from London town here in the UK. It's just gone 8 o'clock here on Tuesday evening, regular Tuesday night live chat. You're very welcome. Come on in. The best bass live chat on YouTube. I can't find any other regular bass live chats on YouTube. I think this might be the only one. Some channels do sporadic one-offs now and again. As far as I'm aware, we're the only one doing it weekly. So come on in, talking bass guitars, amps, effects, accessories, gig bags, strings, straps, leads, pedals, anything you want to talk about regarding bass, feel free. Doing a big shout out this week for the Bass Centre here in the UK. T-shirt, 40th anniversary T-shirt, 40th anniversary cap with a very nice sort of lettering thing going on the back. So if you've never heard of the Bass Centre, where have you been? It was a legendary retail store here in London, in the East End, down in Wapping, from 1984 until about 2002, 2003. Then it moved over to Liverpool Street. Literally any bass item you wanted on the planet, you went to the Bass Centre, because pretty much they were the distributors here in the UK for anything bass. It didn't matter which country it came from. They managed to get hold of it. If they weren't the distributor, they certainly were able to get any item, any bass, any amp, any effects pedal. No longer a retail store, but still a big retailer, based now in Bagshot in Surrey. So you can't just walk in like you used to be able to with the retail store. You can contact them in advance and arrange to go down for a visit. They don't tend to carry basses that aren't Bass Centre basses, but there are like the Ned Steinberger uprights, and I think they're distributors possibly for Tech 21 as well here in the UK. I think. But anyway, if you're after any of the merch, caps, hats, elite strings, or you're looking for any of the Bass Collection series of basses, or any of the British Bassmaster series of basses, there are now affiliate links in the description box below. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you very much, Barry. Thank you very much, Jill. We got the affiliate thing sorted. So in the description box below this video, click on it, you'll see a load of affiliate links. So there are Bass Centre affiliate links that will take you through to the main homepage. There's a separate link for the elite strings, and then there's also a link for the British Bassmasters basses. But between those three links, you can literally go through to anywhere on the Bass Centre site. Also, you'll find affiliate links in the description box for Top Cashback, vidIQ, and StreamYard. Then for any bass related purchases, you've got affiliate sales links for Amazon worldwide, Gear for Music, Thomann, and Andertons here in the UK. I have just got my email open, so if you want to join in on the live chat, you're more than welcome. For the regulars, you know how to do it. There's a ticker going along the bottom of the screen. You send an email to my not my personal email, Brooksy's Bass Corner at gmail.com. Get it right. Brooksy's Bass Corner at gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll then send you an invite. You click on the invite and you can come in onto the live chat by video, so we can actually have a two-way conversation. So if you've got a problem with a bass or an amp or a pedal and you want to show it to me on screen, and the rest of the fabulous people we have here on the live chats, you can do that by video. It's a lot easier to do that than it is by typing problems in by text, and then we're trying to sort it all out that way. So if you want to come in on video, email brooksysbasscorner at gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite, in you come. That's how that works. If you like to do it the old way, you can get involved in the text chat on the right hand side. So if you're on the mobile app, you've got the video screen here. Hello. The live chat text window is directly below. If you're on the desktop, whether it's a Mac, PC, laptop, whatever, it's that way. So literally put your insertion point or cursor in the text box at the bottom, type your message or comment, press send. It will pop up here on my feed. I'll try and answer any problems, any questions, any comments, any queries. If I don't know the answer, I'll open it up to the other fabulous people here on the live chat. So one way or another, we'll try and help if you've got any bass problems, or you've got gear that's playing up, or your bass isn't working how you want it to work, or you don't know how to adjust it. Let me know. I'll try and help. If I can't, then hopefully one of the others will. Directly below the video window, you'll see a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Please give the video a thumbs up. It really helps with the algorithm, helps to project the video within the algorithm and on YouTube. One of the live chats we did 2 or 3 weeks ago was a regular live chat. I don't think we did anything out of the ordinary. That video's taken off. I don't know why. It's getting about 5 views an hour every hour for about the past 2 weeks. It's flying. I don't quite know why, it just is. So thank you very much to all the people watching it, giving it a thumbs up. It's got more thumbs up than any other live chat we've ever done. I don't know why. For some reason, the algorithm's just taken a liking to it. It's putting it out there for people to watch on YouTube, and they're clicking on it and watching it. So thank you very much. If you're coming through to the live chat tonight because you've seen that video or any of the other live chats, you're very welcome. Come on in. It's the bass related chat. We're talking about bass guitars. If you just want to be a silent viewer, then that's fine. If you want to get involved in the live chat, you can do that. As I said, you can do it via the text live chat, which is on the right hand side if you've got the desktop version. If you've got the app version, if you're on the mobile app, the text box is below. But if you want to come in here on video and have a two-way conversation, it could be a six-way conversation if we get 6 people. Email brooksyspacecorner@gmail. The email's running along the ticker at the bottom. Send me the email. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite and you're here. That's how it works. It's as simple as that. I'll periodically keep checking the emails. Last week, poor Scott from the US was here involved in the live chat, sent me an email. I was in the middle of a chat, I think, with Dawson. Dawson came off his chat and Scott dropped off. But Scott had actually sent me an email to join in the live chat. So, Scott, if you join in this evening or you watch this after the event, I'm really sorry. My apologies. If you want to come in on the live chat this week, feel free. I'll try and monitor the email a little better this week. So let's see who we've got on. We've got Keith Doherty. Thank you for the quick heads up at the start. Same to you, Gareth Harrison. Thank you very much. Juice, good to see you. Yes, you can hear me now. Greetings from Manchester in the UK. Fabulous. Steffi from Germany, good to see you too. And then Juice saying hello again. Thank you. Good to see you. Welcome along, guys. Good to see you. So if you've got any questions about basses, bass guitars, amps, effects, pedals, strings, gig bags, bass accessories, cleaning materials, any of that, if I can help, more than happy to do so. Got any questions about anything already here on the channel? Happy to answer those questions. If you want to ask anything about the bass magazines that I used to write for, fire away. I'm happy to answer anything regarding that. And then we have a kind of the main topic of conversation tonight. So since we came back doing the live chats about 6 to 7 weeks ago, we're tending to have these sort of conversation headers, if you like, just so we got something to talk about. It also gives me something to pin the title of the video on. So hopefully the YouTube algorithm will go, oh, that sounds interesting. We'll pump it out to a load of bass players. So tonight, as you'll have seen if you've come through from YouTube, we're talking about how to make cash playing bass. So how to earn a living as a bass player. Now, this could be quite a long, convoluted chat, and I'm very happy for you guys to sort of get involved with this. I can only present it from my perspective, having done it as a full-time job for 29 years. I'll try and give as much advice as possible. If there's anything anyone wants to ask, or if I gloss over something too quick, pull me up on it, put it in the text box, or come through on the video live chat, and we can discuss it further. Anything I can help with. If you're just starting out, if you're a young bass player and you're thinking, how do I turn this into a career? Well, I've done it for 29 years. I don't intend to stop anytime soon. And it's been a good way to see the world, travel the world, be paid for the privilege. Met lots of great people, met lots of idiots as well, but that's by the by. Got to meet a load of my heroes, and it's a good job. It's a good job. If you do it right, get your head straight from the start, take it seriously. If you don't take it seriously, no one's going to take you seriously. So I will try and break this down as easily digestible as I can. There's a lot to it. So there's going to be moments here where I'm just literally nattering away and you'll be thinking, I've lost where he is. So I'll probably lose where I am as well. But there's so many points, and there could be that we don't cover it all. And if we don't, then we'll feed it into next week's live chat as well. Gareth, can you recommend a gig bag that fits an Epiphone Jack Cassidy, as it doesn't fit most gig bags? Well, been down this route myself with various bases, usually with my alembics because they're very long. Trying to get a gig bag that fits an alembic in a series 1, series 2 body shape, the original sort of large pointed end alembics, long scale with a crown headstock, are a nightmare. Alembic have never produced a gig bag as far as I'm aware. Occasionally a brand and a certain range or a model within a gig bag producing company's range might do the job, but you generally have to follow like the user forums on the Alembic Club and things like Bass Chat and other bass related forums. So certain bases can be really problematic, and with the Alembics I ended up trying to get a hard case that wasn't the original supplied case, because I've got those, but they're like trying to carry a coffin. These bases aren't light, and then you put it in a hard case, it's an absolute nightmare. I needed a lightweight alternative that would fit those bases. A general SKB didn't do it, but there was a model, I think it was called it was a Hiscox I ended up getting. Sorry, not an SKB. There was a Hiscox model, which I think is called the ATS, and I could be wrong, but it's extra long. It accommodates wider bodies and longer neck and body designs, and it fitted with about half an inch to spare. So I think it's, in fact, this is the joy of being on my desktop. I can go to all my links and stuff, and let me just check. I think it was called the Hiscox ATS. Let's just see if it's got a list of their models. Bass guitar. So this was about 10 years ago. I got it from the old bass gear store in Twyford. So we've got, right, so it was the pear drop case for the larger bass. So the range, there's a Pro 2. It looks like that's the only one actually within that range. It must be the Pro 2, but I've got a sticker on it that said Hiscox ATS. So it must be that. So yes, it's the pear drop case for the larger bass guitar. Basically my both of my long scale alembics, the Mark King one being the worst offender, even though the 20th anniversary's got the Omega. The Mark King signature is the worst offender because it's got the pointed tailpiece, so it makes that bass even longer. It fitted in that case shy by half an inch. It was actually 50 inches in length. So the internal dimension of the case, 50 inches. That bass was 49.5, just made it in there. Then a little later, I was thinking, do you know what? I'd like to take these basses on gigs, but I don't want to have to take the cases every time. I need a gig bag, and it needs to be protective because you don't want your alembics getting dinged all over the place. And the best gig bag I found at the time was the Mono Vertigo with the big rubber section, like the rubber foot along the base of it. And that fitted that bass perfectly. I now also know that there's I'm trying to remember what the gig bag is. Just bear with me a moment. I will get to your question. Don't worry, I'm getting there, Gareth. There's a bit of spiel with this. Right, I'm just on Bass Direct. Gig bags and hard cases. There is a gig bag called, and I was looking at this a while back. So the mono one does a grand job, but I'm always on the lookout for another bag that can do the alembic thing. And it is called the Reunion Blues RB Continental Voyager Electric Bass Guitar Case. It's a gig bag. I had an Anaconda here for review at the turn of the year, and one of the basses was in that gig bag, and I thought, this looks really good, a really good bag. They've changed the design a little, but if you can get one that's kind of a blue color to go with the Reunion Blues thing, check it out, because the padding on it was excellent. The padding all the way round was excellent. The bottom of it seemed to be a bit reinforced as well, and it fitted the alembics. So they're priced, I can see on Base Direct, they're out of stock. They're out of stock usually at a lot of places. They sell out really quick. They're priced at about £189. I think Toman had some a while back. So look. Reunion Blues. It's the Traveller, Continental Traveller, I think. Okay. Showing at the moment, all they've got is a RBX Oxford L bass bag, which is not the same thing. They've got the Blues CV bass guitar case, but that looks like a Gigbag. So it's Continental Voyager. On Toman's page is abbreviated to CV. So that's it. So it's £205 on there. Has a waterproof outer material, feather-light flexo skeleton protecting system, and EVA shock absorbers for maximum shock and impact protection. This is a gig bag. It's not a case. It is a gig bag. So yeah, they've definitely changed the design from the one that I had, the Anaconda supplied. But if it's still doing the same thing, then great. So on to your question, Gareth. Sorry, it was a long roundabout version. The Jack Cassidy is a wide gig bag. So you may, if either of those options doesn't fit. So obviously I was talking about the Hiscox case. The widest bags I've seen over the years are Rock Bass by Warwick. So I've got one underneath this pile here, which has got my Bootsy Collins bass. So let me get that out. Hopefully the headphones won't detach. Give me a moment. Let's see if I can get that without causing technical nightmares. So this is the supplied gig bag with the Bootsy Collins. You'll see why the bottom of it's so wide in a minute when I get the bass out. So that is probably an option for you. So Rock Bass. I don't know what the model of this bag is, but it's, if you go on Warwick and look for the Bootsy Collins space bass, and it will tell you what bag is supplied and the model number of that bag. Warwick give all their bags a certain model number. Just look for that. So that's an option for you, because I would imagine this is wide enough. So that's why that bag is so wide. It's got to deal with that. And it's okay. You know, it's a little baggy in there. There's probably room for me to put some foam around this to protect it. But that bag accommodates this space. So that's fine. Another option would be the electro-acoustic bass bag that Rock Bass do. And I've got two of those upstairs that two of my electro-acoustic basses are in. And they're really wide as well. So again, I don't know what the model is. I'll have a look in a second to see if I can help you. Toman would probably be a good source for this. There might be some places in the UK. Most of the Rock Bass stuff is easy enough to order if you want it. So let's just have a look on Toman's page, shall we? Let's see if we can help you here. We want acoustic bass gig bags. Here we go. Okay, so it looks like they've changed a bit from the ones I've got. This one looks a little squarer. Oh, it's a leather one. 329 quid. That's, you don't want that. Okay, Toman do their own cases, acoustic bass jumbo gig bags, 24.90 and £26. I think it's the same thing actually. There's a Ritter bag for acoustic bass, 28mm padding. It's £84. So Toman's got a fair range on there, mainly Ritter ones. There's a 33mm acoustic bass bag, 129. Let me see if I can find the Rock Bass gig bag for acoustic bass. There we go. There's a load of them. Gear for Music have got them. You could help Brooksy's Bass Corner by going to Gear for Music using the affiliate link in description box. Code number is RGE-20520-B, and it's the student line acoustic bass guitar gig bag. There's another one there. Sorry, I've got my camera screen in the way. I can't see it. There's the RB20511B Deluxe. So the padding on that will be thicker, unless it's the same bag. That's £54 from Backshop. PMT have a range of Tortec acoustic bass bags. Toman, we've already been through. GAC have the TGI Extreme Padded Acoustic Bass Gig Bag. That's £55. DV247, they've got a bunch. So clearly these things are fairly easy to get hold of, it looks like. So I guess you just need to look at the dimensions for each model of bag and decide if that's going to accommodate your bass. The other option would be to ring up a couple of the bass stores here in the UK and just see what they've got in stock. If you're in Manchester, I'm guessing PMT and Guitar are probably going to be worth a look, aren't they? So that would probably be good for you. I should mention, obviously, if you're new to the live chats here, at the bottom of the text window, so which is on the underneath the video if you're on the mobile app, that way if you're on the desktop app, at the bottom of the text window, text chat, you'll see an emoji icon. Please feel free to give that an absolute pummeling. Helps the video in terms of the YouTube algorithm. It promotes it, if you like, it gives the video points within the algorithm. So please feel free to contribute emojis as you wish. Next to that, you see a rectangle with a dollar symbol in. That's called Super Chat. So if you're enjoying the video, if something I offer up in terms of advice or information helps you, feel free to contribute to the channel using Super Chat. You don't have to. The videos are all free here on Brooksy's Bass Corner, all free to watch. But if you want to help the channel, keep it going, keep the live chats going, helps to pay for the StreamYard subscription, of course. You can click on that Super Chat facility, and that will help to keep the channel going. As I mentioned before, there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So if you're going to give the video a thumbs up, fabulous. Thank you very much in advance. If you're going to give the video a thumbs down, please leave a comment. Tell me why you don't enjoy it. Tell me why you don't like the video. Tell me what doesn't work for you here on the channel. I can only make the videos better if I know what people don't like. Next to that, you'll see a share arrow. So you can share this video out to social media, email, websites. There's also a super thanks option. So similar to Super Chat, every video has super thanks here on the channel because we're a monetized channel. So if you're watching a video and I offer up some information that you find handy or useful, or it points you in the right direction to solve a problem you've got, or you're just enjoying the video, you can hit super thanks, contribute to the channel. Small donations are most welcome. Large donations are most welcome as well. And that, again, will help the channel keep us going for as long as possible, hopefully. In the description box, you'll also find, after the affiliate links, you're going to find social media links. You can find Brooksy's Bass Corner on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Be Real. Twitter, it's Twitter X, isn't it? Be Real, Reddit, Quora, Discord, and TikTok. And you'll also find affiliate links for Brooksy's Bass Corner merch. Obviously, this week we're promoting the Bass Center merch. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Dave, for the t-shirt and the cap and the affiliate links. Fabulous. We've got the new Neil Murray basses here. I'm going to pull those out later, let you see them. And that is it for the description box. So, and also, if you're watching this after the event and the live chat's finished, you can still get involved. Lots of people watch live chat and say to me afterwards, well, I can't send a message now, you know, the chat's finished. Yes, you can. Send a comment, put a comment in the comments box. When I get a notification that you've commented on the video, I can then reply to your comment. Simple as that. So anything you see here on the live chat, you can keep the conversation going after the event. It's all cool. Right, Gareth, like you said, the hard case for the Jack Cassidy is like carrying a coffin. That's what it's like with the Alembics. So hopefully one of those. Hey, Joe Goose is back in town. Fabulous. Hey, Joe. That made a great song, I tell you. You've heard that gag a million times, I'm sure. So hopefully one of those gig bags will work for you, Gareth. But The Warwick rock bags are good. They're pretty sturdy. I don't know if you're going to be taking this bass out gigging or what have you, but the more you spend on a gig bag, usually the better quality it's going to be. I know some people have bought mono gig bags and they've fallen to bits, but they shouldn't. And if you're within the warranty period, if it does that, you just take it back to where you bought it from, or if it's an online retailer, get in touch with them, send them an email or give them a call, let them know what's happened. Normally they're going to help. I mean, if you're absolutely pummeling the gig bag and something rips or a strap breaks or what have you, you're not going to have too much of a leg to lean on. But if suddenly the stitching all comes away, that shouldn't be happening on an expensive gig bag. So, I personally, Gareth, I'd go to a store, check to see what they've got. If you know they've got one of the bags I've mentioned, go and fit it, see how it fits, see if it's a snug fit. You don't want the bass rattling around in a bag, and then take it from there, and then shop around for a good deal. But gig bags generally, there's not a lot of movement on the prices. They're kind of fixed. So some retailers might sell one for £3 less, but you got to go and drive to it or what have you. So yeah, happy shopping anyway. Steve BBB. Oh, great. I just bought a mono. No, I bought a mono and it's been fine. It really has. I know some people have had issues, but unless I see the bag, I don't know, what have they done with that bag? Have they got an Alsatian that's tearing it to bits every day and then they're trying to blame it on the brand? I don't know. But I've seen on forums people go, I bought a mono and my bass fell through the bottom and the zip gave way. Well, I haven't had any of that, and it's been pretty good for my lembics, so I'm cool with that. So buy with confidence, Steve. Don't worry about it. And at the end of the day, they are gig bags. They're fallible. I've had more gig bags than I care to remember, and all of them seemed to be great at the time. I had an amazing gig bag when the bass center used to use a brand called TP. So I had an original bass center gig bag, which was one of the cheap ones, and it was crap. And it was like 25, 30 quid at the time. I just needed a gig bag to carry my bass around rather than a big case. And I didn't know the value of a decent padded gig bag. And then when I bought Mark King's old StingRay, they threw in a gig bag, which was a TP bag. So it was kind of like an isosceles triangle with a zip. But it worked great and it had a really good zip on it and it was fabulous. And then just through sheer use over about 4 years, the strap button on the StingRay had basically pierced the zip. It was so snug in there. It was always in the same place. It pierced the zip, which made the zip give way and the StingRay fell out and the strap button broke off. Thankfully, took it back to the bass center following day. Chris Ward drilled the screw out, put a new one in. Bob's your uncle, but I had to buy a new bag. Bought a bunch of PV double bags because I was well into having two basses in one bag at the time. Just made gigging a lot easier. And again, great bags until the stitching came away. And I had that on a couple. I had like 5 of those bags. I went through them all over the space of about 5 years. And then the next thing was a Warwick rock bag, a double bag, really hefty, double padded thing. Loved it. Went through 2 of those in about 12 years. So, and that I was doing hundreds of gigs every year. So no gig bag is going to last you forever. Just accept that they're going to wear out. But, you don't have to spend beyond your means, but generally, the more you spend, the better the bag. But I have to say, those double rock bags were great. And I had them up until about the time we went into COVID. Then I realized I had a load of gig bags in my loft. And so I'm just working my way through those now. So there we go. Gareth, I've got a Reunion Blues dual gig bag, which I use for mine, which is great. There you go. That Reunion Blues, I haven't bought one yet, but I've got my eye on getting one if I need one. I've got at the moment I'm using Tortec. I really like their bags. I've got a couple of Gator bags, the heavy duty ones, and then there's a few other bits and bobs that I've amassed over time. So I'm very aware that as I'm getting older, you want to start using these things because otherwise they're just going to be sitting up there in bags, in polythene bags, never getting used, and you've paid for them. So there we go. Brooksy's a bit of advice for the day. So back to the topic of this week. I'll take a swig of water before I start. Okay, how to make cash playing bass. Well, This could be a long drawn out conversation, so please fire your comments as I'm going through and I'll address them as we get to the end of each chunk. So, how to make cash playing bass? Well, the obvious thing, obviously, is to go out gigging. That's the most obvious thing. So, if you're playing in an originals band or you want to be known as an originals bass player, an originals artist, then you will make money, but it'll be really difficult. And it's going to be a very long and winding road. And so you're looking as an originals player, who you're playing with, what are they paying you? So if you're in an originals band, put my teeth in. If you're in an originals band, then you're going to be splitting the income and expenses between you within the band. So you're going to get your cut of it. However, if you're a sideman and you're an originals bass player as a hired hand, you're going to be on a fixed wage more often than not. Some original artists might say, well, the fee changes per gig. Some original artists say, I'm just paying you a flat fee. So it might be 100 quid, might be 150 quid, might be 200 quid, might be 300 quid. You never know. But you have to ascertain that before you start the project. Don't start working for an originals band or an originals artist and don't and not set the ground rules at the start. Don't get involved in a project and hope that they're going to, you know, give you the world. Generally, they're not. They want the money in their pocket. They're hiring you to do a job. So if you're in a band as an originals player, and as I said, you're going to be splitting the income and expenses between you, then you've got all these income channels that you can tap into. So you're going to have merchandise, you're going to have EPs and albums, CDs, downloads that you're going to tap into. You're going to tap into streaming income. You're going to be looking at a YouTube channel, making online income. You're going to be looking at selling your merch through your YouTube channel or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. So you've got all of those separate potential channels for income coming in. So all of those things are going to put money in your pocket. But obviously, if you're in a band, and it's got to be split between you. And unless you hit the big time, and even then, the money isn't going to pour in instantly. You're going to be waiting for money to come from publishing, record company, touring money. I've seen so many reports over the past year or two from bands who are out there, quite some name bands and name artists, and they're doing serious tours and they're just not making much money. They can barely pay their mortgage and have a life. They have to stay on the road in order to keep earning the money to pay the bills of life, as we like to call them. So if you're going to be an originals bass player, there's going to be all those channels of potential income, but it takes a lot of work to set it all up. You've got to get your music known. Nothing is going to be quick. It's all you're in it for the marathon, not the sprint. Okay. If you're going to be an originals musician as a solo artist yourself, so maybe bass isn't going to be your only instrument, or maybe you're going to be a solo bass player like someone like Steve Lawson, that sort of thing, or let's take that further, you might be like a Michael Mannering, or you've got to develop your persona and your identity that's going to draw people in to want to buy your product, buy your music. So the music is what all the other income streams hang off, but it becomes a much broader job and you've got to cover all those bases. So it takes a very inspired individual to be able to do that. But it can be done. And these players have shown it can be done. But if you're waiting on a record company to sign you up and give you a big advance, a lot of that has gone. The world has changed, and big advances, big publishing advances. Some companies still will give you money up front, but it's usually in lieu of A, writing hits, B, music sales. And now record companies are getting involved in taking percentages of live performance income or merch income. I don't know how all this works because I don't tend to work in those kind of avenues. It's nothing to do with me. I tend to work in covers and tribute work and that line of things. So the whole record company economics and mechanics has changed since I kind of knew how all of that worked. So, you know, it's a bit of a voyage of discovery, but there are channels out there that you can sort of tap into to make money as an originals artist. Okay, moving over to covers. So you're not playing your own material, you're playing material that's already written. Usually it's famous material. You're getting paid, whether it's in a covers band or as a dep, as a hired hand, to just perform that music either as close to the original, or if it's a band that has a particular slant or a particular angle on the music, they're hiring you to do that and to play it, to reproduce what they want. So again, you're being hired as a sideman, a hired hand. Um, so from my perspective, how did I do it? Okay, so I knew I wanted to be a musician when I was really young, and I was gearing up to wanting to be a musician, but I didn't play anything. So I always thought as a kid growing up, I'm going to be a singer. It's like, great, yeah, I like that. That's going to work for me. And then my voice dropped, and it was like, you're not going to be a singer. Forget that. And then I thought, I quite like to be a drummer. And there was a guy at school where I was in Southwest London. I did a gig with him on Sunday, Jamie Fisher. Evening, Jamie, if you're watching. And he was already drumming. He was like 18 months ahead of me in terms of picking up an instrument. He was already having lessons and what have you. And I watched him play and I thought, well, it's going to take me a while to get as good as that. I don't have a kit and I'm 15 years old and I don't have a car. So how am I going to get a kit around? And I didn't know how all this worked. I had no one in my family that was mentoring me who had been a musician or could show me the ropes. I was completely green to it all. It was like, I don't know how all this works. All I know is I love music and I'd like to do that in order to make a living. But I have no idea how it works. I don't know how do you become a musician? How do you go out and make a living doing it? So I sort of ummed and ahed about it. And so the singing thing wasn't going to work for me. I decided. And as you can hear, I've got a fairly deep voice. I can do falsetto really good, but I don't have a natural sort of high mid range. So for me, harmonies, I can get to a certain point and then I can't go any higher unless I go in a falsetto and then I can really go for it. So I was watching Jamie and I thought, right, yeah, he's good, isn't he? But there weren't many bass players at school. So a friend of mine, uh, we had house music competitions, and I entered as a singer for my house. And there was a bass player for one of the other houses, they're called houses, and he was a couple of years older, and he was a bass player, and he was great. And I sat there with my dad, having made a right fool of myself trying to sing, and said to my dad, "That's what I want to do. I found what I want to do. I want to be a bass player." So Gary, if you're out there, and he knows, I tell him often. So he was the inspiration, kind of, for me to be a bass player. And so I thought, right, okay. So I think I had a chat with Jamie about it. I just said, yeah, I'm going to have a go at bass. And within 2 weeks of that situation, an old teacher at school put up a message on our music room notice board to say, does anyone want bass lessons? And it'll be Wednesday lunchtimes in the music room. And it was like, well, there's your entrance into getting started. So the school had a bass, there was an amplifier, and I was the only person that replied to this notice. And I was like, yeah, that's for me. So I met that teacher in the music room and he started showing me notes and where things were laid out on the neck and how to play a bass, how to hold it. And we started playing a rock and roll 12 bar and I could get my head around that. I was like, yeah. After that very first lesson, I went back to we had lessons that afternoon. I think we had one lesson from 2 till like 3:15. I just sat there in a daze. I was like, I've just found what I want to do for the rest of my life. I raced home after school, walked through the door. My mum went, "What's going on? What's going on? You look very happy with yourself. What have you done?" I said, "Mum, I've just found what I want to do for the rest of my life. I know what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. This is it. This is the start." So that was, I think the first or second week, October 1987. And that was it. So I picked up a bass. That was it. It was like, you know, King Arthur's sword out of the stone. It was, this is it. This is what I want to do. I carried on those lessons for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then the teacher said, you, it wasn't that he said you're a natural. I don't think that was what he said, but it was more a case of you've got all the enthusiasm you need. He said, after 4 lessons, there's probably not much more I can show you, to be honest. He said, if you want to take the bass home at weekends and practice, uh, here are some books with where the notes are on the fingerboard. These are the strings. And he said, you're going to just teach yourself. He said, you're going to leave me standing. So that was it. I took those books. There was a fold out section of the book, showed you where all the notes were on the neck. I was well into Queen. I bought, I can even pull the book out. Hold on. This has been with me ever since. I got that. I bought that. It's a hefty old tome. So this took you from Queen 1 up to A Kind of Magic. It was the revised edition. So it's all in there, all the lyrics, basic sheet music with chords written over the top. So from that, having the records, I could work it all out for myself. And that was that. So I was on my way. So I'd finished my GCSEs and I didn't know what I was going to do next. Am I going to get a job? Am I going to be a musician? And my headmaster said, you need to go and do A levels. I was like, why? He said, A, because you're not thick. And B, it's going to give you time to work out exactly what you want to do. You might find in a year or two that you don't want to be a musician. You don't want to be a bass player. But if you go and do A levels and get something behind you, you've then got the options. He said, give yourself as many options as you possibly can. He said, because you might find something else that interests you. I was like, I don't think I will, but okay, I'll do it. So my family were about to move to the South Coast, so I couldn't stay at school and do my A levels. So I moved down to the South Coast, and there was a tertiary college, which allowed you to do A levels and B techs and all sorts of qualifications. So I didn't do music. I didn't do music at GCSE. Our school didn't run it the year we started GCSEs. So I went to A-level college and I think I did accountancy as a GCSE, computer studies, English and biology. So after 2 years, I'm like preparing myself, 18, ready to go out into the world as a full-time bass player. But I hadn't quite worked out the economics of it all. I just seemed to be getting advice from teachers and lecturers about what I should do. And you got to remember, this was like late 80s, early 90s. So I thought I was going to finish my A levels, go and do a degree, which I hadn't even thought about until I got into my first year of A levels. And again, I was advised, go and get something behind you in case the music doesn't work out. And they were right. And I chose to do a computing degree. And I did the 2 years of my A levels and completely messed them up. Head wasn't on it, wasn't revising properly or anything. So I stayed for an extra year, retook my A levels, did okay second time round. And in 91 went up to Kingston Uni in Southwest London to do a computer degree for 4 years. Now, my grand plan then was to get a band together that would want, when we all graduated, to go and get a record deal and become a big band and all that. It didn't happen. Grunge happened, and all the people wanted to play was grunge, and that wasn't where I was coming from. And I scoured Loot, which was a free ads paper here in the UK. I scoured Loot, the London edition, 3 or 4 times a week trying to find a band. Went to loads of auditions, worked with friends, did a little band projects. Nothing stuck. And then the year that I graduated in 95, I thought, right, well, I'm coming out of my degree. Here's where you got to land on your feet and get running, because, you know, you're going to have no money coming in. I didn't want to get a computing job, although obviously with the degree I'd have had it there to fall back on. I wanted to go for it as a full-time musician. And by sheer chance, Jamie, again, by this point, he was in a glam rock tribute band that were doing loads of gigs, playing universities up and down the country, doing private dues, corporate events, the lot. The bass player in that band left or had announced he was going to leave. And this was about 10 weeks before I graduated. So I got the phone call. Would you be interested in joining our band? I went, absolutely. Sign me up. I'm there. So I graduated on the Thursday. I went along as a tech 2 days later to the bass player's final gig for that band. And then the following Friday, I was in that band. So I literally had a week and a bit to learn the set. And it was fine. We absolutely flew. And that was it. I was out. I was out, full-time musician, making my way in the world. Uh, but the harsh realities of life is bills and costs, and standing on your own 2 feet. Even though I'd had a couple of years of sort of prep as a student away from home, uh, it's a a wake up call, and suddenly bills have to be paid. And if your gig money doesn't come in, you're a bit stuck. So as time progressed, other avenues appear. So I'm already playing in a band, then people see you networking, and then inevitably people need depth. So you need to go to venues that have covers bands and bands that are earning money, get your face known. And then all of a sudden, the phone started ringing. So I was then starting to get phone calls, people saying, can you depth for me? Can you do this gig? Can you do that gig? And suddenly my whole gig diary just exploded. And over the course of about 3 or 4 years, between the band I was in and all the depping work I had, that allowed me to stand on my own 2 feet. But you got to remember, this was the late 90s. So the internet had only just appeared. Not everyone had internet at home. Social media wasn't even a thing. So pretty much everything was done on a landline. You know, mobile phones had been around for a few years, but they weren't cheap and not everyone had them. So you had your landline and you had an answer phone. Uh, you might have had a pager. How about that? They didn't last too long, did they? But I had a facility on my answer phone that allowed me to ring it into it remotely. So if I was on a gig, I could go to a payphone or borrow someone's mobile, call my landline, put in the access code, and I could play all the recorded messages. And because of that, I don't think I missed any depth gigs. And it worked seamlessly. So I had my regular band, then started depping. So suddenly money was coming in. And that allowed me to then take the next step, which was to get my own car. Need a car to be a freelance musician, especially here in London. Some people get away with it just doing tubes and public transport, but it's not easy. It really isn't. So I had a car. Great. Then I bought a house, and then everything changed because you've got mortgage to pay, not rent, and you can't claim any benefits and all of, council tax benefit and things to help you kind of get through suddenly stop. You've obviously got the money for a house and you have to pay for everything. So that then changed my perspective. So up until about 2000, 2001, I'd been juggling the covers thing with doing original artists and doing original gigs. That all changed once the mortgage started and life bills really became a thing, because what was happening was the inevitable clashes. So a lot of original gigs are going to be Fridays and Saturdays, which is exactly the same nights that the covers gigs are on. So if you've got a wedding with your covers band and you might be earning 200, 250, 300 pounds, and someone asks you to do an original gig and you might get 15 quid and a couple of drinks, it's not going to work. And this was happening week after week after week, where I said I'd do original gigs and they were clashing with the covers stuff. And in the end, I just had to make a decision what I was going to do. And I decided the covers thing was going to win for me because it was going to give me money in my pocket. There were basses I wanted to buy. There was gear I wanted to buy. I wanted a reasonable standard of living. I had to keep the car on the road. I had a mortgage, bills, everything else. So I kind of dropped out of the original scene. It just seemed like it was a lot of hassle for very little return. If I was playing for an original artist, we were playing their songs. I was never going to make any money on songwriting or publishing. It was their act. I'm just there playing the bass lines. And I could see that there's just no income coming through from that. Now, you might get in with a certain artist and they would do festivals and all that sort of thing. But again, you're only going to be paid a percentage. You're not going to be an equal split. So I stopped doing that. So by the early 2000s, mid 2000s, I was in a very busy covers band doing anywhere between 3 and 5 or 6 gigs a week. Sometimes we might do multiple weddings or functions, uh, and the money was good. But then we didn't have things like merchandise. As a covers band, you're not gonna make money on merchandise. CD sales, you didn't write the songs. You know, many a band has tried to sell CDs of them playing covers, and eventually it gets found out, and you can't do it. You don't own the songs. But then you've got other things. As the internet kind of took hold and broadband and Wi-Fi became a thing, suddenly you've got things like home recording, which had always been a thing, but now you could do stuff in real time. Home studio, DAW stuff. Whole costs came down, and as the PCs got more powerful and the audio interfaces got better, and it was possible to set up a studio at home, and you didn't need to go anywhere. You didn't even need to go to a studio to record anymore. You could do it all from home. Someone sent you a track, get the stems in, record your bass part, and send them back. Simple as that. So that suddenly gave bass players a whole new income stream. Now, obviously, there's always been the recording side, but it always involved going to studios, people clock watching. You know, you've got an hour tops to get this bass line done and dusted. If you didn't get it done and dusted, they get the next guy and you don't get paid. Suddenly that all changed. You know, you were able to do all this stuff from home and you could take your time with it to a certain degree. So there's always recording, covers gigs, original gigs, merch, albums, streaming income. Now, obviously, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook earnings, ads, Google ads. You know, you can run stuff, generate income and views that way. Uh, so that's fine. So that kind of gets us up to like, yeah, the mid 2000s, going up towards the 2010s. I then, by sheer chance, I'd known people who had been bass players and musicians run venues in terms of booking the bands that were playing at the venues. My covers band often, you know, we were playing venues and the guy who was doing the bookings was a bass player, had his own band. They would play there on a Sunday. So I'd seen all of that. So basically you're kind of like a quasi agent fixer kind of thing. So when we had the recession in 2008, at the end of 2008, there was a manager who had previously worked at the Roadhouse in Covent Garden, had gone to work for this other company. He contacted me and asked my band, would you come in and play this gig for us just before Christmas? We need to generate sales. We need to get people into the club. I think we need a live band. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And then the inquiry died and I kept chasing him about it. And he went, we're not going to do it before Christmas. We'll do it after Christmas. So I was like, okay. Then my band went off to Israel. We did a month of gigs in a club in southern Israel. We come back. The recession has taken hold. All our regular gigs have either stopped or they've just forgotten to book us. And we came back to an empty diary and we sat there going, well, what are we going to do? No one had any answers. How can we just generate gigs out of nowhere in the middle of a recession? So I got on the phone, went through my diary and my contacts, and I was just trying to generate as much work as I could. So I contacted this manager. I said, hello, Dave, how you doing? He said, yeah, I'm good. I said, remember you asked us if we wanted to do that gig for you just before Christmas. Has anything happened? He said, perfect. He said, perfect timing. What are you doing? Gave me the date in 2 weeks' time. I was like, no, we're free. I said, what do you want? He said, I need a covers band to come and start pulling people into this venue. Would you come and do it? I said, well, I'll tell you what, let me pop down tomorrow. I'll come and see this venue, see what we can do, where the band are going to go, what the facilities are like, what the parking's like. I said, we'll take it from there. So I went down. They probably had about 25 people in this bar. I said to him, you sure you want live music? I said, you're going to be paying us, you know, a fair chunk of money. I said, I can't guarantee you're going to make it back over the bar if this is what you've got in here. He said, well, it's an experiment. We'll do it once. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we'll call it quits. He said, if it works, then let's see where we go. So anyway, we go down on that Thursday. And as we're playing, we're generating interest. People are coming into this bar. And it's like, okay, this is working. And he's like all smiles. He's like, I can't believe it. People in the offices surrounding could hear that the band was playing, so they were coming down. So by the time we get to half time, he's got us all burgers and chips, and we're sat there. I said, are you happy? He said, I can't believe it. He said, we've been trying to get this place off the ground for ages, and nothing has worked. You come in here, and within 45 minutes, we've suddenly got like 80, 90 people in here. They're all buying drinks. The bar's not been this busy in ages. I was like, okay. I said, well, let's do the second set then, shall we? See where we go. So we start playing, and he leans over the barrier. So we're a three-piece band. So there's me, guitar player, drummers sort of just behind us. And he's just leaning over to my left. And I said, are you all right? He said, I can't believe it. He said, I've just had my boss on the phone. What are you guys doing next Thursday? I said, nothing. I said, no, we're free pretty much. We've got an empty diary for a couple of months. He said, right, I'm booking you. You're down here next Thursday as well. I said, great. Okay, it's super. So I'm like, oh, great. It's generated another gig. Super. We carry on playing. About another 3 songs later, he said, scrap next week. He said, what are you doing for the rest of the year every Thursday? I said, whoa. I said, Dave, that's a big commitment. He said, it doesn't matter. We're gonna go with it. So this is obviously working. The numbers are still increasing as we're walking through the door. I said, yeah. I said, great. You want to book us every Thursday? I said, there's probably about 5 Thursdays we can't do. We're already booked somewhere else. I said, but every other Thursday that we can do, great. Love it. Love it. And that was it. So we started being the house band in this club. And after about 10 weeks, they realized it was going so well that they started to do Fridays, and they wanted us on the Friday. And I was always worried that the same band playing Thursday and Friday every week was going to cause a major problem, but it didn't. And they kept us there. And eventually, by about the end of the April, start of May in 2009. So that first night I went in there was about 25, 30 people. By the end of April, start of May, every Thursday had between, I think, 250 to 300 people. And every Friday had close to about 400 to 500 people. So suddenly this club had blossomed. And all the other managers in the group owned by this company were like, whoa, we need to have live music. We need to have live music. Whoa, what are we going to do? And lo and behold, it took them a while to come on board, and they had to get the okay for the finances. But about 18 months later, end of 2010, we were doing one of our Friday nights, and the owners of the company were going around about 10 of the venues to see what was going on. All the other venues they were in weren't doing that great. They came to our venue, so there were 500 people all dancing, jumping up and down, having a great time. It just so happened we were playing the owner's favorite song as he came through the door. And he basically said to the operations managers that were with him, get live music into all the other venues now. So I then got a phone call about 3 days later from the operations manager that dealt with our venue, who said, I need you to come down for a meeting, and we need to talk about live music. So I went in, and they basically said, we know nothing about live music. We don't know how to book it. We don't know who to book. We don't know how to put it on. We don't know what equipment's needed. We don't know anything. Would you do it? And I said, yeah. I said, but money talks. So we got to discuss money. Anyway, we came to an arrangement. And then I started booking the bands in. So I'd gone from just being a bass player, doing every Thursday and Friday in this one venue, to then having 11 venues for the company, having live music. I was in charge of the bookings, taking a commission for doing it, and having my performance fee. So then I had the fixing agent money side as well as the playing side. So it all came together. That lasted for about 4 years. So there's another income stream. If you can get into a venue, or even better, a chain of venues, and you can help them book live music, you take a commission. Generally, they're not going to pay you a wage. So it's going to be a fixed fee for hiring a band. You take a commission. The band gets the rest. You get your chunk. That's it. But it boosts up your weekly income. And that's exactly what it did. It earned me a lot of money. uh, which came in very handy. So there's another income stream. You've then got, so we're talking how to make cash playing bass, okay? So another potential income stream. So we've talked original bands, covers bands, merchandise, music releases, streaming releases, creating income passively via YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Another potential income winner is if you can get into producing music for video games. This was really hot in the early 2000s, and the whole scene has changed obviously over 20 years, 25 years, but it's always a possibility. So if you are happy creating original music at home and you can get in with I'm not sure if it's done through, again, agents or fixers, but if you can create music and soundtrack for video games, you may have to work for a separate company, but you might be able to set up your own production company to do this. There's another income stream for you. You've then also got library music. Now, when I first heard this, I thought, what the hell's library music? So when you're watching TV programs, or you might be watching something like Sky Sports and they're showing highlights of goals and there's music being played in the background, that's called library music. When you see a TV program, it might be like a murder mystery or a thriller, or it might just be a documentary and there's background music. That's library music. It can be a bit of a closed shop. It can be quite difficult to get into. But if you find the entrance points or the people that do this or the sourcing companies that TV channels use or production companies will go out to find, like a library music company or an agent who provides that material, if you can get in there, then it's a passive income earner. You can create snippets of music. They might only be like 20 seconds long, audio clips, and you create enough of these. You basically submit them to the agent or the production company that's dealing with it, and it's just held there on file, and they will submit your tracks, and all of a sudden, a TV series maker or production company will go, "We need this music, and we really like these four four creators," and they may ask all four to create music for it, or they might just pick one or two of you to do it. But that's another income stream, and I've known people who've literally made a very good livelihood doing the covers thing, making a load of money on that side, and then during weekdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and daytimes, doing the library music. So they'll be at home creating. And again, as technology got more powerful and cheaper, allowing you to create a home studio environment, you can create that music at home. In fact, a lot of you probably are already doing that. So you can create library music and away you go. Then you've also got another income stream. So it's not necessarily playing bass, but if you are in a band or if you're entrepreneurial in any sense, if you carry the band PA or you even buy PA equipment, you can hire that out. So if you've got a PA system and you know you've got a load of gigs coming up where you don't need that PA, you can book that out. You can hire it out. I used to hire mine out quite a lot. And certainly at a weekend, there are lots of bands that don't want to buy their own PAs. They're quite happy hiring, and then they haven't got to store it. They haven't got to look after it. They don't have to maintain it. But if you know what you're doing and you got your head screwed on, you can actually rent out your PA on a regular basis. And again, it's making you money rather than it sit in your garage or in your van or whatever, or in a storage unit. Hire it out. You might make 200, 300, 400, 500 pounds on it every gig. Let it earn its income, you know, and that's another income stream. So hopefully all those ideas, I realize I've been chatting probably for about 40 minutes there. There's a load of ways you can make cash playing bass. Then you've also got the route I took. So at one point I had my covers stuff, hiring my PA out, being an agent fixer for those venues, and I also had my magazine writing. So for any of you that know, I used to play bass. I used to write for Bass Guitar Magazine and Bass Player Magazine. So I'd have all my writing work as well. I'd have basically 4 income streams all at the same time. And that was before I started doing the YouTube channel as well. If I'd had the foresight, I'd have got that up and running at the same time. But there you go. So, you know, if you're going to be a professional bass player or musician, you've got to have income streams. And hopefully some of those suggestions I've just come up with will help you out, get your mind thinking. You might be able to do some of these. So don't just be a bass player and that's all you do, or just being a bass player in a covers band or an originals band. Open up all the other avenues you've got, because you never know when one might drop off and another one just helps to get you through a period of low income. Right, let's have a look at the messages. So please, let's see your messages. If you want to come on the live chat by video, let me know. You can email me at brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll then send you an invite. You click on the invite and you come through. Right, let's have a look. Where are we? So Gareth, my main gigs are covers bands on the pub circuit around the Northwest. Okay. So we're talking about the gig bags for your Jack Cassidy Epiphone. Okay, well, a gig bag's going to take a pounding. Personally, I wouldn't spend huge amounts on it, because it's going to be in situations where you may not be able to keep an eye on the gig bag or look after it. So, you know, £100 is probably a good price, around £100 for a decent gig bag, and that'll do you for the covers thing. Just expect that you're probably going to have to replace it within 4 or 5 years. Joe Goose, did you have gigs at the WAG Club? I did. I actually played at the WAG Club back in 1997 with the Sugar Plums, which was the glam rock tribute band. I did one gig with them there, and after that, it then got bought out by O'Neill's, and so it's the Wardour Street O'Neill's. That is what used to be the WAG Club, and I've done many a gig there. So yeah, I have played at the WAG Club, Joe. Had some good gigs there over the years. All good. Yeah. Right. So if any of you got questions about what I've just spent about 45 minutes talking about, please fire away. I'm going to have a drink of water. So cheers. Bit parched after that. I hope you didn't mind the educational preamble about how I became a bass player, but that kind of was the story that linked it all together. So it was a realistic thing. It's like, how am I going to earn money playing bass? Tap water, although it's been chilled in the fridge. Tap water through a filter jug. But yeah, so that was the realization, you know, at various points. When I was 16, I just finished school, then again finishing A levels, going off to do a degree. Realization, you know, where's the money coming from? And you know, from like the age of 15, you're going to have these moments where you're going to be at a crossroads and you're going to have to decide, you know, where's the money going to come from? And I guess a weird way of looking at it was that I was always delaying the inevitable. At some point, I was going to have to start bringing money in. But having done school, then the A levels, then the degree, I had all of that education behind me, that if I decided this wasn't going to work, I could fall straight back into doing what I'd learned, but didn't need to. I had a couple of part-time jobs here and there between 95 and 2000. So I did some tech support for a software company for a couple of years. And then I did some tech support at the BBC in Wood Lane in Shepherd's Bush for a period of 3 months, because our gig diary in my covers band got decimated. And I look back at this a while back, and I can't remember why we lost all our gigs. For just some reason, we had like a diary full of gigs, and then for about 3 months, from the end of March until about the middle of June, we were just really patchy on our gigs, and I didn't have enough coming in. So I signed up with an agency and did a 3-month IT contract at the BBC. And lo and behold, on my first day, suddenly gigs started coming back in. So just taking on a 3-month IT contract, and suddenly my diary was filling up with gigs, but I managed to do both. It nearly killed me coming home from gigs at like 2 or 3 in the morning, then getting up at 5:30 to get the bus into Shepherd's Bush. So happy days. Joe Goose, how does earning a living now from music compare to the best period in the past? Well, there's far fewer covers gigs, that's for sure. I don't have a mortgage, so that's all paid off. It's hard. You kind of adjust. You adjust to what you need, really, is how I can explain it. So from 95 up until end of 98, it was one thing because I didn't have a mortgage. I was paying rent, didn't have a car, didn't get a car till 98. And then suddenly once you start having a car and you've got insurance and petrol and MOT and road tax, and suddenly you've got to have the money for those things. I didn't have a credit card either at that point. And the earnings were okay, but they weren't through the roof. And then when the covers band started up, we were a bit lean for about 18 months. We were okay, but it wasn't busy enough. And I remember sitting down with the other guys. I said, if we can't suddenly take this up a notch and start generating decent income, I'm probably going to have to leave. And lo and behold, we got in with anyone that works on the London covers scene will know this name, Steve Travers. We got in with Steve Travers, and Steve held the key to playing the Irish pubs around London and the southeast. The story goes, and I heard it from a number of people, so I'm sure it's relatively true. Steve provided music for around, and I'm only going on what people have told me, so if this isn't true, I don't know. He was booking live music into around 120 venues a week. And some of those venues had bands Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So clearly he was doing very well on the commission side, but there were loads of gigs. And my band just fitted the bill. We were a really good 3-piece band. So he started booking us in. And we went from like 2 gigs a week, which was a good week, to suddenly having 3, 4, 5 a week. And we were doing really well. So that happened. Actually, our first gig for him was when we had the fuel protests in 2000. Anyone that remembers that here in the UK, we did our first one for him on the Thursday of that week of the protest. Because I remember we had a gig in Birmingham next day, and none of us were sure that we could get there and back on the fuel that we had in our cars. And suddenly our gig diaries blossomed, and we were doing good. And then we got in to weddings and corporate events, and more agents got on board, and then people would see us, and then they book us for private part, and it sort of blew up. Now that can still happen today, but there are far more bands around now. Smartphones and Facebook changed everything round about 2009, 2010, because people were able to book you privately for weddings and functions and bypass agencies, because they could. It used to be they wouldn't check you out until the evening when they got home from work, when they were sat on their PCs or their Macs, and they would hunt for wedding bands. Now they were able to do it on their mobile phone while they were at work, and they could go onto an agent's page, find a band, because all the bands used the same photos for the agents as they did on their own websites. They'd find a band, check them out through the agency, get all the recommendations and all the bump from the agency, and then go and find that band directly on their phone, either at their own website or social media, and book them privately. And it changed, and suddenly bands were contactable 24 hours a day. And where we just had the recession in 2008, lots of we used to call them the tradesman bands. So basically they're bands that play at weekends only, and they'll work cheap because they're not relying on the gig money to replace their regular workday income. so they can afford to do weddings, private gigs on the cheap. And suddenly prices dropped, and it was quite a stark change. Thankfully, it didn't hit us too hard for about 3 or 4 years, but suddenly prices took a dive. And also what you were getting also at that point was all the musician colleges like ACM, BIM, ICMP. Those educational establishments were ratcheting up, and the production line of musicians became frantic. And suddenly you got all these musicians coming out every 6 to 12 months for an industry that didn't have the gigs, because since the recession, a lot of venues had closed. Some venues weren't allowed to have live music anymore because of noise restrictions. Some had been sold to become flats. A lot of venues just wanted DJs, not bands anymore. So you had this huge influx of new musicians, but fewer and fewer gigs and venues. And what's happened since 2009, 2010 is the number of musicians has rapidly increased and the number of gigs has decreased. COVID didn't help either. So you find people like me who've, next year will be 30 years that I've been doing this professionally. I've seen that change. And going back into the 90s, early to mid 2000s, up until about 2009, it was kind of plain sailing. If you're in London, it's all changed. So a lot of the Irish venues are gone. If I go back through any of my diaries from like 2000 to 2009, 85% of my regular bread and butter gigs are gone. Those venues don't exist, or they don't have music. And since COVID, a lot of venues again don't exist, or they've not reopened, or they don't want music anymore. So it's a very tricky thing. My peak was around 2010 to about 2015. So I had the covers work, I had the agent fixing situation with the venues, I had my magazine work, and I had all the other depping and bits and pieces that I had at the time. That was my peak, really. And I've managed to just sort of maintain what I do. I don't do all the pubs and clubs like I used to. I'm not in a general covers band, but that doesn't mean I don't do any of that stuff. I just do it as a debt. So I'm not really booking anything like I used to. I do Uncle Funk. So I turn up, I play, and I go. The Queen tributes, it's the same thing. People ask me, are you free? Yeah, right. Turn up, play, go. Same with the ABBA thing. So, that's all kind of what I do now. The magazine stuff obviously stopped. So YouTube has kind of replaced that in my portfolio, so to speak. And yeah, so, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. It's not obviously trying to build the YouTube channel into a sustainable platform for earning for me over the long term. So, all those likes, shares, subscribes, comments, all of that helps. So, when I ask for likes and stuff on videos, that's how you can help. The super thanks, super chats facilities, all of that, the merch, Brooksy's Space Corner merch, all those things go into that big melting pot of income. That's how it all kind of works. Gareth, for me, I hold a full-time job and the gigs are an added income and bonus. There you go. What works for every person has a different way they want to do it. I didn't want to get to 50 and think, well, I didn't have a good go at trying to be a musician. I've had a good go, and by hook or by crook, I made it work for me one way or another. That's not to say there weren't some hard times. I can remember some weeks and some months at various points where it was a struggle. And something appears, social media makes it a lot easier. It used to be you would just send a text out to all your muso contacts, just say, if anyone hears any bass work going, I'm free. And something will pop up. Someone drops out of something, last minute gig, illness, whatever. And you just got to get in there. George Iliadis, good to see you, my man. Hope you're well. Joe Goose Bass, what was your opinion of Battle of the Bands nights? Yeah, I didn't really have an opinion to Joe Goose. Thank you very much. Super chat from Joe Goose. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. I'll be buying you a beer when we meet up at some point. So yeah, excellent. Right, opinion of Battle of the Bands nights. I don't think I've ever done one. I don't think. Oh, no, I tell a lie. I did. Can't remember if it was a Battle of the Bands or it was just I did a thing with an originals band in '97 at the there was a venue called the Orange in West Kensington, and sorry, I'm just clicking on your. Thank you for that super chat. Cheers. Fabulous. Well done, Joe. We did a thing and it was a regular Monday thing, but I can't remember if it wasn't really a battle of the bands, but there were lots of record company people there. So you were basically showing your wares. And this band, we did a bunch of rehearsals and did this gig. I've never heard of them since. Never got another phone call. Nothing. I don't know if they carried on or disappeared, or I don't know what happened to the regular bass player. Had absolutely no contact from them at all. It was the weirdest thing. And actually, if I look back through my whole career, there've been times like that. And normally you'd think, well, if you never heard from them again, they obviously didn't think you did a very good job. I know I did a good job, so don't know what happened to the band. Maybe one of them went overseas and the band split up. I don't know. Joe, I thought it was a bit of a rip-off. The agent would get each band to sell fly. Oh yeah, I remember all of that. So to win, the bands would fill buses with their mates and drive them all the way to London. That still goes on, that kind of thing, but people don't fill buses. That's the problem. Trying to get your mates out to gigs anyway. I mean, with Uncle Funk, I will advertise that I have access to the guest list. People want to come, they can. They're more than welcome, and I'll get them in if I can. Very few people ever want to come. Funnily enough, we had a guy on last week, John Cooper. John, if you're there, and he wanted to come to the gig. And unfortunately, got the dates wrong. He thought the gig was on the Friday, and it wasn't. It was on Saturday, so he couldn't make it. But yeah, you know, I frequently say to people, if you want to come to see Uncle Funk, I can sort out a guest list space or a pass or whatever. No one ever comes out, so it's fine. It's fine. Gareth Harrison, I'd recommend for anyone looking to get into music to attend as many open mic nights as you can, attend local gigs and networking with musicians in your area. Networking is everything. And if I look back, the one major regret I've got, I need a drink. Cheers, everyone. Your throat's getting husky. The one thing I regret was that while I was at university, I didn't go to jam nights, open mic nights, or venues that were doing covers bands. Because in my head, the covers thing wasn't what I was going to do. I was going to set up an originals band. We're going to write our own material. We're going to go and be the biggest band in the world. And it never happened. But I should have been out of those venues watching covers bands and getting my name and my face recognized. Should have got some cards printed. Should have got a car. But I was always wary as a student. A, I probably couldn't afford to keep it and run it. And B, I'd have been a taxi for all my mates at uni, and I wasn't willing to do that. But again, I had no one to teach me all this stuff. I learned it all by doing it. No one ever pointed me in the right direction. I never had a mentor or someone to say, you need to do this or you need to do that. I didn't know. And when I graduated and was in the glam rock tribute band, again, I should have been going out to all of the venues that I ended up playing about 4 years later and approaching the bass players or going seeing the bands and saying, you need a deck bass player, I'm available. Not having a car would have made it a problem possibly, but anyway, would have got my name out on the circuit. That's what I didn't do, and I should have done that earlier. I should have got a car and got in a covers band far earlier than I did. And it would give me some extra money in my pocket, would have smoothed the university journey a little. But there you go. You know, we've all got regrets and things, but that if I was doing it again, I could wind the clock back. I'd be a much clever chap about it now. Yes, I agree, Gareth. Attend as literally if you're a new musician, doesn't matter if it's bass or something else, get out there. I know a lot of musicians now don't carry business cards. I still do, because you never know when you're going to meet someone. You could be in a venue and you can't swap numbers because it's so loud. And Give them a business card. It's got your name, your email address, social media contact. Bang, done. It's all done. You want me? There's my card. Some people see it's an old school way of doing things. It really makes things really easy. And if you're, say you bump into someone or a potential client or another musician and you're passing on the tube or whatever, easy just to give them a card. Just go bang, there you go. You never know. I've had phone calls and email messages from people 10 years after I gave them a card, and they said, "I always kept your card. I need a bass player. Can you do it?" Yeah. And you never know when things like that will crop up. Joe Goose, this is back in the indie Britpop day. Yeah. 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 I get it. I get it. I just checked the email. No one coming in at the moment on the live chat. So here we are. It's just coming up to 9:30 here in London town. We're very welcome. It's live chat 77 here on Brooksy's Bass Corner. All the way from London town in the UK, regularly on a Tuesday night. We're doing live chats right up until about 17th of December. And we have a little break for Christmas. So we're talking bass guitars, bass amps, bass effects, bass accessories, strings, gig bags, leads, all of that sort of thing. If you've got any problems with your gear, let me know. If I don't know how to fix it, I'll open it up to these fine people here on the live chat. One of those might know how to solve the problem. If you're trying to build your first pedal board, if you've got your first audition on bass, or you want some help getting gigs, looking for some advice, anything to do with bass guitars, I'm here to help as much as I can. Tonight, we're talking the general conversation. Doesn't just have to be this, but it's the general conversation. How to make cash playing bass. Maybe some of you have got ideas that I didn't mention earlier on. You know, if you found a way to earn money using your bass and I didn't mention it, then please feel free. Enlighten us. It all helps. We're all about sharing advice here on Brooksy's Bass Corner. So yeah, I've been kind of fortunate, I would say. Lucky in some respects, not so lucky in others. The whole originals thing just ground for a halt for me. I haven't actually done any recording apart from the Uncle Funk demo recording, which we did during lockdown. I think for another artist or band since 2011. But it's not something I chase. I did get well, over the past year or so, I get people say, "Oh, do you do recording from home and all that?" And it's like, no, I don't chase it. I could, but I don't want to have to keep up a DAW to all the latest software and plugins, and I've known musicians who've gone semi-mental trying to stay ahead of the curve and make sure they've got all the latest stuff, and it's an ongoing money pit that never ends. That's never really appealed to me. I'd love to do more recording, but everyone wants to do it themselves, cut their costs. Everyone thinks they're a bass player, and invariably they're not. And I've done quite a few, or did quite a few sessions in the late sort of 2000s, early 2010s, where people had recorded bass lines and then realized they couldn't play bass, and they had to get a proper bass player in. And I went and sort of fixed it and gave it a bass player's sensibility. So that used to be a thing, but I can remember around about 2001, 2002, 2003, as it suddenly became really cheap to do your own home studio, the amount of recording work just dropped off a cliff, or it did for me. I used to get called up quite a bit to do sort of little sessions here and there, and there's 40 quid and 50 quid, and it would stack up with your gig income. And then it just kind of just stopped, just dried up, because as I say, everyone suddenly thought they could play bass. So they either bought a cheap bass and recorded themselves, or they did it using keyboard bass. And yeah, and then you'd inevitably get the calls and the emails going, "We need a proper bass player in. Can you come and do it?" So yeah, I did quite a bit of that. But it's never picked back up. But like I say, it's not something I chase. And I speak to quite a few mates who are bass players, and they rely on it. They do a lot of that sort of thing. So they'll get someone to send them a gig, send them a track, all the stems, they'll bring it into Logic or Pro Tools, whatever they're using. do their part and send it back, and that's great, you know, but you've got to have the gear. If you say you can do it and you can produce bass tracks to a high standard, you've got to deliver. You can't do it on some cheap piece of software and it sounds bad. You'll just get a bad reputation, bad reviews, and you won't get asked to do it again. Blame Lewis, good to see you. Interesting to hear Mark Knopfler saying this week he tried playing bass and couldn't get it to sound realistic enough. I'm saying nothing. Mark Knopfler should be able to play a bass line, but he's going at it from a guitarist perspective, I would suggest. There's definitely something about us as bass players. We have a certain sensibility, the way our brains work musically. I've seen it and I've heard the conversations between sort of session bass players, and there's a way we approach performance, creating bass lines, and the musicality of it, and we're all different, but there is like a common thread through how bass players work and play. But I'm surprised Mark Knopfler couldn't get his head, couldn't make it sound realistic enough. That's a weird one. Oh well. Well, he knows plenty of bass players, so I'm sure he can afford them. So, Gareth Harrison, I'd recommend using Reaper. I looked at Reaper. Has it become a paid for version? I looked at it when I started the YouTube channel. I was going to download it, and I remember there being tons and tons of videos flooding my notifications about it. And I had a look at it about 2-3 months ago. I can't remember why. I needed it for something or other, and I looked at it, and it was a paid for version. You can't get the free version anymore. Oh, it's around 60 quid, the license. You can source a lot of free plugins. Right, got it. Oh, maybe I'll look at that again then. Can't remember what I needed it for. There was some. Oh, I know what it was. It was the pedal videos, because the audience sono card wouldn't allow me to record the microphone and the bass feed at the same time, whereas the Focusrite Scarlett does. And so I was looking at doing it on Reaper and having 2 separate inputs, one for the bass, one for the vocal, and seeing if that would work. Anyway, that's what I needed it for. And I looked at it and thought, I got enough expense at the time. It was, I didn't know it was only 60 quid. I thought it was a bit more than that. I've seen plenty of guitarists switch to bass and treat it like lead guitar with less strings. Yeah, that's what generally happens. I know some bass players who play great guitar, and I know some guitarists who play great bass, but it generally works better the former rather than the latter. Blame Lewis. Yeah, it was the interview with Guy Pratt and Gary Kemp with Mark Knopfler. It's a good watch. I haven't seen that. I'll check that out. Was it part of their Rock on Tours, or was it a thing that Mark Knopfler was doing? Thumbs up, Blame Lewis. Which one? Rock on Tours, or was it a Mark Knopfler interview with those two Herberts? Right, it was Rock on Tours. I will check that out. Jagu Space, the only guitarist I know that can play decent bass is Mark King. There you go. And John Deacon, of course. Trying to think. No, there are some others. There are some others. I'll rack my brain trying to think who they are. I'm sure Steve Vai plays bass quite well. It's because his brain works in some weird ways. I would imagine he plays pretty good. And actually, Billy Sheehan isn't a bad guitarist. On his solo albums, some of his guitar playing is pretty good. And I bet you Nile Rodgers could put down a fairly good bass line as well. Yeah. So if you want to join me on the video chat, just got to send me an email, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite and you come straight through here on the screen. We can have a 2-way conversation. We can have up to an 8-way conversation if 8 people want to come on via video. While I think about it. Better say a big thank you to all the new subscribers. We're on a bit of a subscriber surge at the moment, and I haven't been asking for them. So I stopped asking for subscribers on the live chats a while ago because it's just become a vanity metric for people that are looking for sponsorship on their channels, which I'm not saying that's something I won't do. I'd be very open to it, but I don't have enough of a following at the moment. But why am I saying it's a vanity metric? Because, for example, the most viewed video here on the channel has had nearly 19,000 views. Yet I've only got 3,500 or just over 3,500 subscribers. But I was being told by subscribers to Brooksy's Base Corner that they weren't receiving notifications of videos and community tab messages, even though they've got all notifications turned on. So there's clearly a problem within YouTube that if you're a subscriber to a channel, you're not being alerted when I'm producing new content. So I don't tend to ask people to subscribe anymore. If you do, I really appreciate it, but I'm not going to ram it down your throats like I used to. So likes for videos are the one thing we really like. Comments on the videos we really like, and the algorithm likes, and sharing any of the videos here on the channel. If you've got social media, you found one of my videos either that's useful or has got some content that you want to share with other people, share the videos. That's the big one. It shows the algorithm that you like the video, you enjoy the video, and you're interacting with the video. So thumbs up, comments, and shares. Those are the three big things you can do to help with the coverage of the channel. George Iliadis, Prince could lay it down. Yeah, I hadn't. How could I forget Prince? Goodness me. Not sure how I did that. Yeah, Prince was a stunning bass player. Anyone that doesn't believe me, let me just put up a little link for you to prove it. This is an old video. Oh, helps if you put that in, mate. This is an old video going back to 1989. And it was like a 15-minute documentary on a Wednesday night when we used to have music programs on BBC Two. And this was a little thing that was done. It's a promotional thing put out by Prince's people, I think. And in there, so this is the main video. Just do that. Right, we're going to share this out. So you mate, Jerry Blair, good to see you. So this is, if you've not seen this, this is called A Musical Portrait. Watch it, it's really good. But there is a clip of just the bass part. And here we go. 31 seconds this is. Come on, in you come. There we go. So this is Prince playing bass. There have been loads of clips of him playing at gigs and what have you, but this blew my mind when I saw it. So if you've not seen this, this is Prince recording part of the bass line for Party Man. Enjoy. I can still watch this on repeat, just continuous, happily. In fact, I wonder if I can share this on the screen. Just bear with me. Let's see if I can share this. Oh, it's on that, isn't it? Right, let's create that into a new window. Let's see if I can. I need to go back to there. Right. Let's see if you guys can see this. Oh, it's gone again. Hold on. Oh, no, it's there. For some reason, StreamYard's not showing it. That's a shame. Okay. Not to worry. Won't show it to you. Might be a copyright thing, maybe. Gareth Harrison, a friend of mine is a great guitarist, but has just landed the bass gig for Paul Weller. Well, there you go. It's all about contacts, networking. Said this. Networking is everything. How you doing, Jerry? Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good week. Hope bass playing's going good. So, while we've got a little lull in the chat, so if you've got anything you want to talk about bass-wise, you want to talk about how to make cash playing bass, that's what we're here for. So while there's a little lull in the chat, I've got some new basses to show you. So what did I do with that? So I'm going to take my headphones off. Okay. I'm not going to plug this in because we don't know if the interface when a bass is plugged in is sorted yet. I've got to do that as a test run, but I'm going to take that off so I can move about freely. So we got the new Neil Murray basses here, the Snakebites. They were here last week, but we were just engrossed in chat last week, of course. So anyway, these are the new Neil Murray signature Snakebite basses from the Bass Center. Bass Center 40th anniversary. Yeah. Affiliate links are in the description box for merch, strings, and all their basses. So here we have, looking good, Neil Murray Snakebite bass. This is the one with an ebony fingerboard. There's a maple option as well. I think it's an anodized guard, but anyway, I'll check all the spec out later. You got a badass 2 bridge on there. You got a splittable coil from the humbucker and the bridge. No push pulls, so it's probably volume, tone, 2-way selector switch for the coils in there. It's a hefty beast. There's no hip shot or anything. It's weighty, but it's good. There's a neck plate with the Bass Center moniker on there. There we go. See that? So let's put this on. So I'm not plugging it in. We'll do that next week. This should still be here then. And I've got the maple neck one there. Nicely set up by Mr. Ward at the Bass Center. It's nice. It's all, well, I was about to say nut width of a jazz, but it's not, but it's very slim as you approach the nut on the back of the neck. It's nice. Really nice profile. What are we calling that? It's kind of a C stroke D shaped hybrid neck profile. It's nice. I like it. I probably need to stand back a bit so you can see it. But, well, in fact, let me get rid of the banner and you'll see more of it. No, that's all good. Here we go. We're going to hide that and we're going to hide that. Right, so now you got the, there we go. That way. That's it. We need to go back a little more, maybe. I don't know. There's only so far I can go. But anyway, this is a really nice bass. Don't mind saying. If you want to check one out, go to the affiliate section in the description box. There are links for the Bass Center generally. So all merch, strings, everything, all the basses, everything the Bass Center sells. There's an affiliate link there for that. There's a separate affiliate link for the Elite strings. And then you've got an affiliate link for the British Bassmasters series of basses, which this is part of. Happy birthday to Neil Murray as well today. Happy birthday, Neil. You won't be watching this, but give you a shout out anyway. But this is a lovely bass. Based on I think he claims it's the bass he used the most during his career, certainly while he was in Whitesnake, amongst other things, of course. With the leaked strings on, of course, from the bass center. It's nice. It's good. I like it. So if you're in the market for a split coil and humbucker based layout, check one of these out. Price is, let's have a look. Let's see. Not very much. The Neil Murray basses here in the UK, £745. In the US and worldwide export price is £620.83 because you don't have any VAT to pay. So it's just under £100 more expensive than a Betsy. It's a nice plain bass. I'll plug them in next week and you can hear them. Nice. I like it. Neil Murray, if you're watching, very good. Well done, sir. Barry, if you're watching, another winner. Reviews and demo videos very shortly. I'll be filming these over the next couple of days. So if you want to hear these, give it a couple, let's think, maybe a week. There'll be demos and review videos up for this and its maple fingerboarded brother. In fact, let me get that one out as well. Give it a check. And we have another bass from Viv Wilcock coming in tomorrow. I'm going to pick it up from him tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to. Here we go. And we've got pedals from Flatley Pedals. They're here. They're up there. I've been filming those and demoing those. So, yeah, plenty coming up on the channel. So this is the maple fingerboarded version of the Neil Murray bass. Oh, another one. We're all set up. They're not low and slinky, but they're not high either. So you kind of got a medium action on these. Yeah, nice. I like it. I like them both. Mike, I have to check out as Need to Park the Car for My Better Half. Great show. I'll see you on Facebook on next Tuesday. Thanks, Joe. Take it easy. Good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Gareth Harrison, what strap are you using? Comfort straps, my friend. I've used comfort straps since 1998. Here's Stacy from North Carolina saying, hello, folks. What's your name, Brian May? Cheers, Joe. Take it easy. Yes, Gareth. Comfort straps. I have loads of them on the back of my door. I have loads of them, different heights and lengths, and they've saved me a whole load of sort of shoulder pain and neck pain. You'll see this one split, but it actually split about, I bought it secondhand off someone, and it split about 18 months after I got it off them. And that was in 2003. So it's had this split since then. So I don't use it on gigs, but it's a home strap. So if it suddenly went, but all it is a break in the neoprene there. It doesn't change this. I do have a strap up here though. Here it is, where the threading and the sewing of the leather. Too many things all moving here. What's going on? Right, there we go. So I put a post-it on it to remind me. I actually talked about this a while back. So I was on a gig at Christmas, on a dep gig, and I just put my bass back on for the second set, and ready to go, just waiting for the DJ to fade out. And I looked down at my strap, and that's what I saw. Basically, all the threading had come off, and the only thing holding my bass up was that. And if that piece of leather decided to roll over that piece of plastic, I was a goner. The bass was a goner. And I thought, can I get some gaffer tape quickly enough? And I couldn't. And I had to do the whole second half without much dancing to make sure that thing didn't come off. And it didn't. And it got me through, but it's going for restitching. So it's basically, there's no stitching holding that in place. You can see that. Yeah. So it's going to get done. But that's that, and that are the only two defects I've ever had on these comfort straps. So, and I'm not throwing this one away because the rest of it's perfectly okay. It's just the stitching that come off. So it'll get done. That's Joe saying bye. So Stacey's with us. Good to see you, Stace. Just coming up to 5 to 10 here in London town. There we go. Put the banners and the tickers up. We had a super chat donation from Joe Goose. Thank you very much, Joe. I know you've gone now. And tonight we're talking how to make cash playing bass. So I did my big chat speech about an hour and a half ago. So if you're watching this on catch up, you need to rewind. It's back a bit. I will have timestamps in place by about midday tomorrow. When this gets uploaded to YouTube, I will go through, put timestamps. You can jump to anywhere in the video. You can see the things we've talked about and the videos we've talked about. So if you want to see my take on how to make cash playing bass, you need to go backwards. It was earlier in the video. If anyone's got any other comments about what I was talking about, Jerry Blair, if you're watching, you might get some nuggets of inspiration in that. Fire away. You know, anyone's got any questions, or you want to put your own sort of views in about how to make cash playing bass, then feel free. Gareth Harrison, do I use Straplocks? I certainly do. I take 2 gig bags. All these questions, Gareth, are fabulous, so keep them coming. So basically, I take 2 basses to every gig. The only time I don't is usually if I'm doing a gig on the tube. I used to take 2 gigs and double gig bag, but it just became so unwieldy that I stopped doing that. So if I'm on the tube, I might only have 1 bass, but I'll take strings and some snips with me. But in both gig bags, I have a set of chrome Schaller locks, black and gold, because I have so many basses, dare I say it. And generally, I've got Schallers on all of them. The only ones I haven't are recent basses that have come in. Now, Betsy doesn't have Schallers, and I got to a point where I was putting so many Straplocks on basses. And then I thought, right, well, I don't have a problem using those red Grolsch washers, the round red rubber. So I have sets of those in my gig bags as well. So if I'm using Betsy on a gig, I'll just use the red washers. What's the other one? One of the other more recent acquisitions. The new Alembic, the Persuader, doesn't have Schallers on, and I can't be bothered putting Schallers on it. So again, I'll just use the red washers. There was another base. There was another base that had non-standard buttons. The Kabikis, of course. Although my pink Kabiki has a Schaller strap button on the top horn, but not on the bottom. And then there's also the Warwick Bootsy bass, has Warwick's strap locks on there. I didn't get the locks. It's got the buttons, but not the locks. So again, I just use the rubber washers for those. Now I can give you an interesting story about the strap locks if you so wish. So there's a video on my channel. Bear with me a moment. It is, let's have a look. Let's go to the content. Bear with me a minute. So this was one of the earliest videos on the channel. And where are we? So I'm looking over the camera. There we go. It is strap locks. I did a video on fitting Schaller strap locks, and it's called How to Install Schaller Strap Locks with Fewer Parts, and I'll explain what that means. So here's a link to it if you want to check it out. I'll be putting it in the timestamps as well for those who are watching on catch up. So I was a big advocate of Schaller strap locks. I know there's other brands and what have you, but I used Schallers quite early on from about 1989. And I had multiple sets, although I only had 2 basses, but I always kept spares. Always been that sort of, I've been that bass player, the one that keeps all the spares. And they've been very reliable, had no problems. And I had my pink Kabiki on, and I remember the gig easily. It was at the Royal Standard in Walthamstow. We've done a couple of gigs there previously. It was in December 95. We were in the middle of a Christmas tour with the glam rock band. And we're doing this gig. And I had the bass at an angle and we're playing away. And I just moved the bass. And unknown to me, at the time, I used to do the way Schaller wanted you to do it. So you got the strap lock. My strap locks are outside. Okay, so when you buy, or the way you used to buy a set of Schaller strap locks, you put the buttons on, and then you would build the strap lock. So you've got the main clasp, and then you would put your strap over the top of the retractable section in the middle. You then put a washer on it and then a screw, and you'd screw the screw on tight. Now that's fine, and when you do it, it's tight. But as you're doing gigs, 1 gig, 2 gig, 3 gigs, 5 gigs, 10 gigs, 20 gigs, your strap is moving under that washer, and eventually it works the screw loose. And I didn't know this was happening. So I'm on this gig, and I didn't even know the screw had wound itself loose and come off. That had gone, never to be seen again. The washer had come off and was gone. So basically my strap was sitting on the top of the strap lock, just waiting to pop off. And as I tilted the bass that way, I probably took my hand away, being a bit flash and playing with one hand, doing not a lot with that. Basically the strap fell straight off and the bass went downwards to the floor, and I managed to stop it in time. I grabbed it, totally unknown that it was about to happen. I grabbed it, and thankfully the bass didn't hit the ground. 12 months later, it did hit the ground and hit a flight case and got a huge bang on the bottom. But anyway, so what had happened was the screw had come off, the washer had come off, the strap had come off. So there was no strap lock anymore connecting the strap to the button. And I'm looking at it going, there's got to be a fail safe here. I just don't know what it is. So I looked at it and looked at it and looked at it, and I thought, well, clearly the washer and the screw are pointless. There's no point using those. But if I put the strap on the button and put the clasp section over the top, that's bigger and bulkier than the hole on the strap. So let me get a bass that's got, all right, Nice bass. Let me get one of my Gigbags. I'll show you. And now he thinks his basses are not in the room. Anyway, if you watch the video, you'll see it. Right. So basically, you get rid of the washer, get rid of the screw. Jerry, this is for you. Third piece of advice. Okay. So what you do is put the bass over the strap button. Put it on. That bass will do. Got the StingRay here. So it's got a Schaller strap button. Put the strap over onto the button. Take the big chunk with the retractable bit that you pull up, which locks into there. And you put that over the top. And that is far bigger than the hole on your strap. So only in a really freak situation where the hole on your strap becomes bigger than that chunk, the strap lock, that's the only way it would come off. So that was December 95. I've never had that situation happen again since. I've had a strap go wrong. I do have a strap here. I think it's in one of my gig bags. Yeah. Where the section here, the lower section, this again, it was a comfort strap. This one. No, it can't be this one. This one's the split one. And basically it had worked itself so ragged around that hole that it ripped. And I was wearing this bass. I remember the gig profusely. I'm playing Superstition by Stevie Wonder. And I was getting a bit energetic with the bass. And I think I was doing a bit of a neck push, get the one of those numbers. And as I did it, the strap just went away and the bass hit the ground. It was this bass. It suffered no damage. Let that be testament to Music Man StingRay. And the bass fell on the floor and I just stood there looking at it and I could hear the band all go. And I went, never mind. Just pick the bass back up. And the joy of comfort straps is that you get two holes on the strap at each end. The idea is this is like a makeshift strap lock. So if you put it on the higher hole, you then fold that over and that's meant to be like a quasi strap lock, which works fine until such time as the that end gets quite ragged and then it's just loose. But anyway, it's like a makeshift strap lock. So as you can see, yeah. So that video I posted the link up for, that tells you this story. And what I basically say is get rid of the washer and the screw top on a set of Schaller strap locks. You don't need it. You just need the button and the clasp. And that's it. They then changed their design about 4 or 5 years ago and came out, I think, with the strap lock plus or something. Let me go on Bass Direct. I'd soon tell you. Oh, where have they put them? Strap locks aren't. Oh, right. So it'll just be under accessories, will it? Great. It's under something. Ah, S locks is what they're called now. So they've changed the design, and there's a screwable section. I think that, and that locks the lock onto the strap. Right. Okay. But I haven't used them, so yeah. So sorry, that's a long, convoluted thing, but I just thought that would be useful to know. Stacy, is that the Sidewinder bass, Snakebite bass? That was the Neil Murray with the maple fingerboard. I did the ebony fingerboarded one just before. Gareth, I use Schallers on all mine apart from Jack Cassidy. I use the rubber washers because the strap button is in a weird place. There you go. We're like-minded there. Stacy, Snakebite bass, right there we go. Gareth, a dab of clear nail polish on the thread after you've tightened it works like Loctite. Okay, handy to know. To be honest, the alternative for me has worked so well for nearly 30 years that I probably couldn't be bothered with that. Just do away with the two bits. It just makes it it's another thing to worry about. Whereas I've just used the strap button and the lock without the washer and the screw with the nut for so long, I wouldn't worry. I do have a box in the garage in my box of spares, which is full of Schaller washers and screws. So as and when I sell all my bases and gear, someone's going to end up with a load of those. But there we go. Happy days. Happy days. So it's coming up 10 past 10 here in London town, here on Brooksy's Bass Corner, live chat 77 on a Tuesday. Yeah, we do every Tuesday. The best bass live chat on YouTube, because I can't find any others. Not that are regular anyway. I think Scott's Bass Lessons does one periodically now and again. But I don't think any of the other bass channels do a weekly live chat. I could be wrong. Happy to be proved wrong. If anyone watches or gets involved with any others, let me know. But yeah. Let me know. So if you want to come in on the live chat by video, you can. You just need to send me an email, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite, you come straight through to the live chat. Like I say, a big thank you to all the new subscribers. We're going through a bit of a subscriber hyper burn at the moment. Loads of new subscribers joining the channel. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for all the likes, all the comments, all the shares. You guys are boosting the channel at the moment. Everything's in the green, which is great. That's what we aim for. And the channel's on the up. So I've got nothing to complain about on that front. There will be some new content up over the next couple of days. So we've got the new Flatley pedals there. They're right there. We've got those Bass Center Neil Murray Snakebite basses. We've got a new bass from Viv Wilcott coming in tomorrow. I'm going to pick it up, actually. If you're in town, I'll be at the gallery, probably from about 1:30 for a couple of hours, seeing the lads, seeing John and Martin, seeing what's in stock, of course. Be rude not to. And then Thursday and Friday, we'll be editing and getting new content up. Then I've got Uncle Funk on Saturday in Sevenoaks, doing a festival thing in the afternoon. Yeah, it's all go. So if you've seen any videos on the channel in the past week, got any questions, let me know. Bill Clements on bass. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Gareth, I just bought back my first ever bass guitar, Marlin Sidewinder from the early 90s. I had a black glitter Marlin Sidewinder, bought in January 88. It was my first bass, £125. And it did me proud for a couple of years until I sold it in 1990. So I had it for about 2.5 years. Great bass to learn on. They were all the rage at the time. And yeah, did me very, very good. So you just bought back your first ever one. Excellent. You had the red glitter. Excellent. I was a big John Deacon fan. I had to have the black one. They were such a thing at the time. It was between Marlin and Squire. They were the two main budget basses around. They were just great. Had a few questions about this. This seems to have been getting, or the video for this, the review, it's been getting a few views lately. I'll put a link up. Just bear me a moment. A few people asking questions about it, which is cool. Had one guy asking me, is it noisy? And I said, no. So basically he's bought a StingRay special and it's noisy. I said, it shouldn't be. Check, you might want to get someone to check out all the connections and stuff. But he was asking if going down the Aguilar and John East route was worthwhile. I said, well, it was for me. I love the combination. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, this has an Aguilar humbucking pickup there. So where was I? Right. So this bass has an Aguilar StingRay humbucker in there. See a little Aguilar moniker there. And the circuit is a John East Music Man StingRay replacement circuit. So you've got the standard 3-band EQ layout. You've got volume, treble, mids, bass. On the volume is a push-pull. And what that does is it gives you a treble boost, virtually the same as you would have on the Sabre bass. So if you've ever heard a Music Man Sabre, you get that really glassy top end. That's not saying a StingRay treble isn't glassy, but this takes it up another notch. It's not overkill. It's actually like a really hi-fi sort of treble. That's what that boost is for. The treble control and the bass controls are based on the original 1976 StingRay circuit, the 2-band EQ. That's how they're voiced. So the shelving is exactly like that circuit. The mid-range is a 2-control affair. So you've got a boost and cut, and you've got a variable frequency sweep. And on the inside, on the circuit, there are 2 jumper switches. I think it's 2. And when John fitted this for me, he said, well, which pair do you want? You can either go for that section of frequencies, or you can go for that section. And I think I went for the lower mids. So I've got like a lower mid bandwidth is generally what this mid control is working around. But there's another section where you can go to a higher mid. So for me, this really works. It kind of changed exactly how this bass sounded for the better, in my view. I've still got the old pickup and the old circuit, but Stacy, here's a thing. I take payments or tips via mobile, thereby eliminating the tip jar. I do like having the cash in hand, but that's a nice option when out doing bartending gigs. Sorry, Stace, what are you talking about? Take payments or tips via mobile, thereby eliminating the tip jar. Are we talking about super chats? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you'll explain yourself, no doubt. Gareth, I've never gone down the active bass route. Am I missing out on anything? From my voice, put my teeth back in. From my viewpoint, yes. It's all personal preference. I have no, what's the word? I have no prejudice either way. I've got passive basses and I've got active basses. For years, I had no passive basses. Couldn't get on with them. Didn't give me enough flexibility in the things I was doing. Wasn't doing enough recording to justify having loads of passive basses. I think passive basses sound great on recordings, but live, I'm never entirely convinced that it gives you enough flexibility if there are problems with the venue or the stage or the sound man you've got is crap. I like being able to tweak with an EQ on my bass. So invariably my amplification, when I'm using amplification, stays relatively flat. I don't tend to boost too much, but it depends on the room. So mid frequencies are always your friend. And if there's something like really barking in the room or making certain mid frequencies really jump out on a graphic, you can find that frequency and cut it. On a rotary control, again, all general modern bass amps have a frequency setting and a boost or cut. So you want to find the setting, the frequency that's causing the problem, and then cut it. I like to be able to do that on a bass. So generally my amplification is relatively flat. I'll do all my boosting and cutting on the bass. So obviously on a passive bass, you can't do that. The only thing you've got is a low filter pass. If we're talking like jazzes, precisions, what have you. I like a lot of the work I've done has been in covers bands and tributes, a lot in covers bands. And my Status Empathy, which is down here, is a 3-band EQ, sweepable mids. To give you the idea, generally I call that bass the sonic battering ram, tonal battering ram. There's never been a gig I've done with that bass where I haven't got a really good bass sound out of it. And that's because of the flexibility, the power it's got. Sometimes you get an active bass. This used to be a good example. I had a StingRay that was full of punch and guts and amazing sort of tonal delivery. This one wasn't remotely in the same ballpark until I had the EQ and the pickup changed. But when I'm playing an active bass, I want to feel it, I want to hear it, and I want power. And if an active bass isn't giving me that, then it's not for me. But that's not to say that active basses are the be all and end all. So if you prefer passive basses, good for you. That's fabulous. I do loads of work now in a Queen tribute where I have to play a passive precision. It's not my choice. I'd rather not, but it's what looks right. And sonically, it's what he always generally used. So, it's horses for courses. But I have no prejudice either way. I'll happily use a passive bass or an active bass just out of preference. If I'm doing a covers band, we're playing lots of different genres of music, different eras of songs. I need something that's going to cover as much of the ground. And I'm not always convinced that a passive precision or jazz bass is going to do all of that. Some people go, oh, it's fine. That's fine. That's your preference. But for me, it doesn't. So that's why I generally want an active bass. Stacy, sorry, with the whole making cash playing bass thing, right, here we go. Literally just thinking about how to get paid on site when one's out gigging. Another option when someone wants to pay you or tip you on site. Cash is king, baby. Cash is king. Tips got to be cash. No checks, no Gregory's. For example, if doing a wedding gig or private booking, someone wants to book you to play an extra set after your agreed amount of sets. Personally, I wouldn't let them. Instantly, I would already have expected to have either been paid before the gig or on the gig. If someone, say you're at the end of an event and you're dealing with drunk people and they want you to play longer, that's fine. Got to have them. Or the way I used to do it in my covers band was they have to have the money in cash there, ready to go. And I would always put that in the quote before we even quoted for the gig. And I would remind them in the build up to the wedding, because I'd be in communication with them. If you think you might want us to play extra, i.e. you've got a late finish, as opposed to a strict like midnight curfew. If we're finishing at midnight, then we can't go past midnight. But if you've got the venue till say 1 or 1:30, you might want us to do an extra 45-minute set or half-hour set, you've got to have the cash there to pay for it. If you don't have the cash, we're not going to do an extra set. Don't stand there drunk or semi-drunk arguing with me. I'm telling you in advance. So if you think you might want us to play an extra set for your guests, then please have the means to pay for it. If you no cash, no extras. Simple as that. That was the way I was dealt with it. We did a gig quite early on in that band, probably like 2001. We did a wedding up in Nottingham. And we got to the end of the gig. We'd done 2 hours, 2.25 hours, I think. And the father of the bride wanted us to carry on playing for like another hour. And he claimed he had no cash. He had no way to pay for it. No one had a checkbook. It was all paid in advance. The couple were going away after the wedding, so no one was going to pay. So basically, he had to get money off of all of his guests to pay us. So from that point on, I always put in the gig quote when someone approached us to play a function. When I sent out the quote sheet, this is what we provide. This is how much it costs. These are the options. I'd always say, if you think you might want us to play an extra set or to carry on playing after the agreed allotted amount of time, then please make sure you have cash available to pay for what you are asking for. If you don't have the means to pay for it, we won't be doing it. I'm telling you to avoid disappointment in advance. Stacy, that's when a mobile payment can work. Tip me when you're tipsy. Just kidding, of course. I'm a fine, upstanding bartender. Scruple-tastic. Exactly. So yeah, so that was kind of my take on those sort of things, really. Yes. So thank you very much to Joe Goose. I know Joe's left us. He made a super chat payment this evening for £5. Thank you, Joe. Much appreciated as always. This StingRay needs new strings. Again, a bit rubbery. It's been on since not and he said 97. 2017 these strings have been on this bass. These were the strings on the fateful day when the bass fell off its strap. So have you got any questions about basses, bass amps, bass effects, bass accessories, how to build a pedal board? Maybe you're doing your first bass gig, how to form a band. Maybe your bass needs setting up, or you've got some maintenance jobs to do on it. Don't know how to do them. Ask me. If I can help, I'm more than willing to do so. It's what I'm here for. I'll try and help you as much as I can. I can't see. There we are. Can't see over the camera. There we go. So thank you. Yes, to all the new subscribers. There's been a surge of new subscribers over the past fortnight. Very grateful. Thank you. And thank you for all the likes, shares, and comments. All the interaction. Without you guys, I can't do this. So, you know, I do appreciate it. I know I keep saying it, but it's true. Jerry Blair, more good advice. I've had the same problems that function before. People want you to play extra and don't want to pay. Once you encounter these situations and you put a practice in place that stops it from reoccurring, those problems go away. So like I say, that happened to my covers band in 2001. And from that very gig after that, I think that might even have been the gig where I started to do a regular quote sheet. So I drew this up and it changed. It got tweaked and refined over time. But in fact, I can call it up if you want me to tell you what was in it. Give me 2 seconds. I've got to remember what directory it's in. It's going to be. It's going to be in here somewhere. Right, that's all videos. It's not there, is it? It will be. It'll probably be in here, won't it? Bands, maybe. Just bear with me a moment. I know where it might be, actually. There we go. Let's have a look, see if it's in there. Here we go. Wedding quotes. It's the quotes. Wedding quote sheet. That'll do it. I'll read it to you. That's not it, actually. That's the coordination sheet, you div. Right, it's not that. It will be. Blimey. I know that document is here somewhere because I saw it not that long ago. Here we go. Template. Okay. This is what I put in. Good Lord, I need to increase that font. I can't read that. The old eyes aren't what they used to be. Right, let's put that 100%. I'll read this out, see if this sort of rings any bells or any. Oh, Stacy, thank you very much. Another super chat payment there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stacy Ann. I very much appreciate it. Thank you, my dear. Tip for my tip jar. How about that? Thank you. If any of you want to contribute to the super chat, it's at the bottom in the text box. You'll see a rectangle with a dollar symbol. That's where you can make a donation to the channel. You don't have to. The videos are free, of course. If you want to follow Stacey's and Joe Goose's lead tonight, helps the channel, pays for the StreamYard subscription, which allows us to do all the video chat and everything else. It pays for the vidIQ subscription, helps keep the channel all running. So very much appreciated. Thank you, Stace. I'll read this to you, okay? If it bores you to tears, I'm sorry. I'll try and get through it as quick as I can. But some of you might find this helpful. Maybe I should turn this into a course and charge people for it. Hey, right. So basically, there's like a preamble telling them this is based on requirements. Use what I'm about to offer you in terms of information to tailor what you need from the band based on what you require. So basically, I say we normally play for 2 hours as a band, split into 2 60-minute sets or 3 40-minute sets, or whichever way you prefer. And I've attached a copy of our current band song list for you to have a look at. We provide as much background music, disco party material as you require for before, after, and between our sets as a free service. Or you can supply us with CDs. This is how long ago it was, that you have made up yourself, or give us an MP3 player with playlists. Again, people weren't doing MP3 playlists on their phone back then, which you have created, which we can then connect to our PA system. We are sometimes asked to provide a DJ service, and this is possible for an additional fee. The only difference being this allows you to make requests on the night, although if you know which songs you want included, we can incorporate these into the free service. Occasionally, we are asked to quote for an additional extra 4th band set. This is what I was talking about. Again, there is a fee attached to this, and in this instance, it negates the need for a DJ service as the breaks between the sets are very small. We provide a full PA and lights and generally try to ensure your big day has as much of a party atmosphere as possible. So we try to tailor our set list to incorporate as much party and sing-along material as possible. Obviously, if there are any songs you would rather we didn't play, please let us know beforehand. As a rule, we don't play the same old set night after night. We actually look at the age range of the guests and plan accordingly about an hour before we are due to play. You can by all means select which songs we do and don't play, but we do ask for some flexibility, as what works with one age group may not go down so well with another age group. For most weddings, we arrive at 6 p.m. to set up, which normally takes 45 minutes to 1 hour. We occasionally get clients and family members and Toastmasters who think we can magically set the equipment up in 5 minutes, despite the fact the speeches or meal have overrun. Even in this situation, we will still play for the agreed amount of time. We will just take smaller breaks between the sets. Then I talk about the meal requirements and a room to change in. And then I break it down based on playing for 2 hours, arriving at 6 p.m, finishing by midnight. We charge X amount, which includes travel expenses, and there is no VAT to pay as the band is not VAT registered. Being a busy band, I would suggest you contact me within the next few days should you wish to book us, as we receive bookings daily. And that's kind of the sort of crux of it all. So if that gives you some sort of pointers, some advice, things you need to address even at the quote stage, because a lot of people, they don't really read the quote. They just look at the price bit at the bottom. They're not reading the information, which is why once a gig is confirmed and I've got it in writing, contracted, in the time leading up to the wedding, I'll be in touch like a month before, and then I'll be in touch on the Monday prior to the wedding. So there's always that level of contact. Things change, arrangements change, song choices for first dances change, all of that. So the way I used to be was sort of, don't leave it to the client to tell you, chase them up for this information. And that tended to work better for us. And actually, after we had a cancellation when we didn't have a contract, or I'd done the quote, but we didn't have a contract on that. That was the first gig, and that was in 2003, where I started to take 50% deposits. Before that, we used to take smaller amounts, like 10%. From 2003 onwards, we took 50%. And after that, over a period of 12 years with that band, we only ever had, I think, 2 gigs that cancelled, and they didn't get their deposit back, because that's the whole nature of a deposit. You've booked us for that date, you've cancelled, you don't get the money back. But we only had 2 cancellations, because a 50% deposit kind of focuses the mind. They've spent that money, they don't want to throw it away. and that tends to work. More advice for you, Jerry. You see, you're getting nuggets out of me tonight. I've done all these things. And the quote sheet changed. I have to say, if I used to have about 5 or 6 different iterations of it, because things we would encounter problems or issues, and it would be like, need to put that in there. Need to put that in there. So it got changed over time, but it saves a lot of gray area. If you see, a lot of people don't want to do things like that because they think it winds the client up. It doesn't. You're stating the case from the start, and what I found was if you lay all these ground rules and the information out, there's no gray area. They know what the deal is. When you don't lay those things out and it's like, oh, it will be all right, we don't need to mention that, that's when the problems start happening. So Stacey, yes, 50% deposit is always the way to go. It's enough up front to get the client's attention that you're serious. It's exactly right. Like I say, after 2003, up until the time I left that band in 2015, we only ever had 2 private event cancellations. And again, they didn't get their deposit back, so we had 50% deposit. One was they were changing the location from Kent to New York. And I remember the email, they were nice and they were kind of groveling, you know, we've decided we're going to change the location. We'd really like our deposit back. And I said, well, you've booked us for that date, which is a prime date in the middle of summer, which we've held for you for over 12 months. And you've told me about these changes literally about 7 weeks before the day. There is a non-refundable element to the deposit, so you won't be getting that back. I put it nicer than that. They wanted me to try my utmost to get a replacement gig so that they didn't have to pay. No, that they wanted me to find another gig, and then that would mean they got their deposit back. And I said, no, it doesn't work like that. I said, I will try and find us another gig, but you've paid the deposit, you've booked us for that date. I said, you can bypass all this, but if you're flying us out to New York, then, you know, we'll be there and we'll happily play for you. I said, but you booked this way in advance. We've turned other work away. I can't give you the deposit back. I'm very sorry. I made every attempt to get another gig in on that date, but we'd missed the boat. Nothing else got offered, and we ended up all sitting at home twiddling our thumbs that day. But there we go. But yeah, it's called a deposit for good reason, and it follows the same basis as deposit for anything else, whether it's a caterer, photographer. People always seem to think bands are going to just hand the money back over, and it's like, no, that's the whole point. That's what a deposit is. You've booked us for our services. You've now changed the scope of that. You know, it's not like it's a postponement. You're to be rescheduled. You actually are cancelling the work. So we couldn't do that. So yeah. So yes. So if you're late to the chat, you may notice I've got Bass Center merch on. 40th anniversary t-shirts, caps. There are key rings as well. This has got 40th anniversary written on the back. If you want to purchase either of these, if you remember the Bass Center, legendary bass store here in London, now a separate business out in Bagshot, still selling basses, great basses. I showed you the Snakebite, Neil Murray signature. Obviously can't go through an episode of Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat without showing you Betsy, the Guy Pratt signature bass. Of course, we love Betsy here on Brooksy's Bass Corner. Get a lot of mileage out of this bass. Quite fabulous. So if you want any of the merch, or you're looking to buy some Bass Center Elite strings, or you're looking to buy a bass, one of those, you can help the channel out using the affiliate links in the description box. I think it's the first bunch of affiliate links you'll see. So it says Bass Center. So there's one link which takes you to the front page of the Bass Center website, so you can buy anything from there. There's then a link for strings, which is the Elites link. And then there's another link for the British Bassmasters series. So if you're looking to buy a Betsy or a Neil Murray Snakebite, or God, there's so many actual model. The Bruce Thomas profile bass, they're all there. So if you've not seen any of those videos, I've done reviews and demos of a couple of them. And what we got here? Stacy saying absolutely. Jerry Blair, there is gold in them there hills. There is. Thanks, Brooksy. You missed out the R there, sir. Not Brooksy, Brooksy. Well done. I will get you some links for the demo and review videos in case you haven't seen them. So let's do Betsy. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put the affiliate link for the Bass Center in the window as well. So this is the demo of Betsy, if you've not seen this. And this is the review. It's an old review. It's one of the first reviews here on the channel. Still worth a watch, though. This is the Betsy review. And I'll put you... In fact, there's actually a direct affiliate link for Betsy. The lovely Dave Good at the Bass Center provided me with that. Just bear me a moment. Here we go. So if you're looking to buy a Betsy, here's a direct affiliate link. So you can help support the channel. If you're going to buy one, I get a very small affiliate commission. So that's there. And I will get you a video link for the Bruce Thomas profile, which is based on his old red and tortoise shell P bass. Might have one here to do an updated review on very soon. There you go. Check those out. So as I said earlier, when we were talking about how to make cash playing bass, there's a lot of ground there. Obviously, I did my thing. Everyone went quiet. Not had a huge amount of comments and stuff about it. So if there was too much to digest, let me know. Even if you're watching this after the event, because these live chat videos are starting to pick up regular views after the event. So as I said earlier, one of the live chats from 2 or 3 weeks ago is now almost about to become the most watched live chat I've ever done. It's actually going to overtake the Neil Fairclough interview from last year. So if there was too much there, all in one hit, I'm quite happy to bring the how to make cash playing bass topic, use it in next week's live chat as well. So if you want to go back and check out what I said earlier, and then you might have some questions or comments, let me know, and we can go through it next week. No problem. Here we go. So if you want to come in on the video chat, drop me an email to brooksy'sbasscorner@gmail.com. I'll send you an invite. You click on the invite and you're in. Gareth Harrison, big bear of mine, which is when pubs, clubs organize charity events. I know where this is going. Expect bands and musicians to play for free, but the venue still gets paid. Bar staff get paid. Catering staff get paid. Well, all you do in that situation is say no. It's up to you. If you agree to do charity events, you will get, I'm putting this politely, and YouTube don't give me a strike or anything because of it. You will get shafted. I can guarantee it. Generally in my career, I've kept as far away from doing charity events as possible because it just causes no end of arguments within the band, arguments with the organizers. once people have got you on board, they expect you to give blood, and it's hard. If it's a charity I support, fair enough, but invariably it never is. The charities I support are never the ones that I'm playing for or trying to help. Um, and I've always been against band leaders sort of railroading me and other band members into supporting something because it suits their cause, and we get nothing out of it, and yet we're expected to give up time. And so from my point of view, I've always said whenever I join a new band or get involved with a new band, or I'm working with people I haven't worked with before, I will make it very clear from the start. Don't ask me to do charity gigs, because it's not that I'm not compassionate. I just, it either has to be for something that I want it to be for, otherwise just get someone else to do it. And the problem with that is invariably then that the band either isn't getting paid anything or is getting very little. They're not going to get a debt to do it because the debt wants paying. So invariably don't do it. And I'd rather put that out there at the start and people know what my stance is. And then you never have to cross that bridge. Stacey, it's a balancing act with charities, no question. I see it all the time. You know, people expect you to do it for free, but other people and other workers and suppliers are getting paid. So invariably, I just say no, or just politely say we're already booked. But it's hard if you've got other people in your band and they go ahead and say yes. I mean, on a few occasions that's happened to me, I've just said, "We'll get a dep in." I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And it's not that I'm only doing it for money and I'm a breadhead. I am doing it for money, but this is my job. You wouldn't ask someone in an office to go and work an 8-hour day for free, would you? And it's exactly the same. Unfortunately, musicians and bands, there's always someone that will do something on the cheap, and that's what makes it problematic for everyone else. So when you get bands on Facebook and what have you racing to the bottom for the cheapest price, and they'll go and do a wedding for £300, how are you able to charge 1,500 if people are out there doing it for free? I mean, we had it in my old covers band. We used to play Oxford O'Neill's regularly. Used to get so many weddings and bookings out of that place. And some guy came up to us, and he was now there were two situations. I think this was a private booking. They came up to us and they said, "Would you play our wedding?" And we were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Check the date. Yep, we were free, but they knew the manager of the pub, and they hadn't told us that. So they asked us for a quote, and I said, "Well, when is it?" "Oh, middle of June, Saturday in the middle of June." I said, "Okay," and they said, "Well, you know, we want music in between, and we want the band, and and we want you there from 12, and you got to be set up before we come back." And I said, "Okay," so I gave them a quote, and they nearly fell off their chair, and they were like, "What? You can't charge that? You asked for a quote. I've given you the quote." "Yeah, but you played at O'Neill's for 350 quid," and it was like, "Yeah, it's a pub," and we were there. I left home. I was there within 45 minutes. I did the gig. I was back out of there. 45 minutes home. I was done in 3.5 hours. You want us there from 12, not to finish until 12:30, and then we've got to break everything down. And you're not paying for all that. What you're paying for is the time of us hanging around doing nothing. It's not just the performance time. Well, you can play here for £350. You can play our wedding for £350. It's like, no, go and get an electrician or a plumber, ask them to do a 12.5 hour day, and then whatever they're going to charge you, we'll take half. We'll do it for half. And that was the end of that conversation. So, you know, it's the same thing, but generally charities are I'd rather steer clear of all that. There's always a band that will do it. So let them get that band is my thing. But you have to stand your ground. You got to set your stall out. Got to set it out early, Gareth, because if you're in a band and you do one charity, then everyone in the band expects you to do every charity that comes in, you know. And then you get bands, "Oh, it's a gig. It's a gig, but we aren't being paid for it, but we're expected to give up our time and pay for the fuel, getting it all there." And unfortunately, the music industry is that way. People it's like everything now. They expect everything for free. Yeah, think of the exposure. Graham, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time. Hope you're well. Yeah, exposure. Nonsense. Exposure doesn't pay the mortgage, mate. That's the problem. you know. And if you then ask them to cover costs and expenses, well, no, it's a charity. You should do it for free. Right. So my car just runs on exposure and goodwill, does it? But I'm meant to spend money in order to come and play at your charity event, but you're not paying anything up. So no, no. And thankfully, actually, in Uncle Funk, our band leaders has a good policy, and no charity event is free. It's everything has a price on it. Quite right. That's the way it's got to be. You know, in my eyes, that's the way. Graham, hi to everyone. Good to see you. How's the Queen tribute going? Everything okay? Been busy with that, doing some good gigs. Hope it's all going well. Any new bass purchases? What you been buying? By the way, Stacey, you're there. Tell me what the what's the word I'm looking for? The quality of the sound and the visual is. We're on fixed line. It's good, bad, indifferent. Sound okay? I know there's a bit of a mess at the start of this video, which will get cut out tomorrow as soon as it gets uploaded to YouTube. Let me know. By the way, last week we were able to show pictures on here. I can share my screen. So if you want to know anything about any of the bass collection, we were talking about the old Mark King StingRay. I can access my hard drive full of bass content. So if you've got anything you want to ask about or talk about, let me know. We can do that. Let's see if anyone's trying to get in on the video chat. No, nothing there. If you want to join in, you can. We don't bite. So you send me an email to brooksy'sbasscorner@gmail.com. I send you an invite. You click on the invite and you come straight through. We can have a two-way chat. Oh, good. Thank you, Stace. Yeah. Looks the business, all of it. Good, good, good. Yeah. So here we are, Brooksy's Bass Corner live chat 77. Here from London town in the UK. We're doing every Tuesday through till the 17th of December. So if you want to drop in any Tuesday, we are here. As far as I'm concerned, the best bass live chat on YouTube. I can't find any regular ones. There are some of the other bass channels here on YouTube do occasional chats, but they're not regular chats. So I've looked most days of the week. I can't find any that are regular unless they're happening in the middle of the night elsewhere on the planet, and I'm in bed, so I'm not seeing it. So if you got any questions about basses, bass guitars, amps, yeah, bass effects, all of that. I just saw a thing saying that screen is still being shared. Maybe it was. So that's all good. I can close all of this down now that we've dealt with the Gigbag stuff. So it's coming up to 5 to 11 here in the UK. If you're enjoying the video, please give us a thumbs up. Please feel free to share the video out to social media, email, websites. And if you care to leave a comment, I will reply to it as soon as I can if you're watching this after a later date. So I seem to have battered you all into submission regarding how to make cash playing bass. It's it was a bit of a blitzkrieg for everyone, but hopefully you might have gleaned a few nuggets of inspiration. And if it points you in a new direction, maybe create some new income streams for you, then great. That was the intention. But it takes time, it takes graft and a bit of application for that. You know, it's not an instant thing. A lot of people sort of start playing and think sort of money's going to land in their lap. It doesn't generally work like that. You might get lucky, get in a very busy covers band and have a band leader who's pulling up trees, but usually it's not. Oh, Graham, the Queen band never took off. Oh dear. But been pretty busy playing and have been doing a fair few deps that have led to further work. Excellent. Well done. What happened with the Queen band? That's odd that it hasn't taken off. I mean, I'm sort of semi-busy with the Queen tributes I play with, but you know, there's a market out there for it. That's why we're busy. What happened? I didn't think it was being set up from scratch. I thought it was already an existing combo. Fill us in. Oh, I can hear me talking. That's good. Where are we? No Dawson this week from Canada. He's obviously a busy chap. Stacey, is there any part of that contract that folks give you crap about? What the quote? Yeah, that wasn't really a contract. That was a quote. That's so basically the way it used to work was we would get inquiries into our email inbox, and they might give you a few sort of scant details. Usually it would be, "Are you available on this date?" And then you go back and say yes, and then they come back and say, "Can you tell us how much it will cost?" To which I'll email back, "I need a bit more detail in terms of what you require." So then they might say, well, we want the band to play 2 60-minute sets, arrive at 5 o'clock. Here's the location, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't give them a quote until I had the location because then I wouldn't know what the petrol money, the fuel, transport fuel was going to be. And then once I had that, then I could piece together the quote and give them like a reasonable ballpark figure. And then actually, usually once they got the quote, that was it. And they would say, right, can we pay the deposit of 50%? And then that's it done, signed, sealed, and you'd forget about it until about a month before the event. A couple of times they would argue about the quote, it's too much, or it's this, or it's that. And it's like, right, okay, well, we can go back into your requirements and see if we can refine some of the things. So, you know, instead of us doing 340s, we could do 2 1 hours and not have so much waiting around time beforehand. Or if it was in a venue that already had its own PA and lights and we didn't need to bring PA and lights, we can do that. That'll take some money off. Fuel costs weren't that much of an issue at the time. Nowadays it would be because cost of fuel's just gone through the roof. But after about 2010, as I said earlier, once smartphones had come in and Facebook come in, and people were able to do their own bookings bypassing agents, you then started to get the arguments over fees and money. And I had a couple, I think around about 2013, 2014, where people were saying, well, I can get a band for £500. It's like, well, go and get that band then, because we won't be at your wedding for £500. I'll tell you now. And we'll probably turn away 5 or 6 other inquiries for that date, and they will pay what we're asking for. So, you know, you kind of have to stand your ground. And then you get the ones, and I've seen this, it never happened to us, thankfully, but I've seen it happen. And I've seen it happen on gigs I've depped on. And I've seen stories on Facebook and various other musician forums where just as wedding couples will try and blame caterers for things and photographers for things, they will also blame the band for things in order to get money off. So if they haven't paid, this is again why you take your deposit and you, uh, as much as possible, I used to get people to pay at least 2 days before the event. So then if they're drunk and obnoxious on the day, it's not my problem. We're there to play, we do the gig, we've been paid, we're off. Um, but you would start getting clients who try and pull a fast one, and this has become a trend. Basically, on wedding forums, it became a thing where brides and grooms would say, "Oh, if you complain about this and you complain about that, rather than cause a problem, you'll find the suppliers drop their fees, or you can get some money back, or they want, you can ask for compensation." Never, not with us, but I've seen it happen with other bands, and "Oh, well, the band played late." No, we didn't play late. Your speeches and meal overran. We can't set a PA up in 5 minutes. It will take 45 minutes to an hour. Please go away, enjoy the surroundings, enjoy the building, go to the bar, go outside if it's nice. We will call you back in once we're set and ready to go. If your meal overran by 2.5 hours and you've lost all your extra time, that wasn't our fault. That's your fault. Um, I don't know if I've told the story on here actually. We did a wedding. It's quite a while ago. So we were still a four-piece. So we're looking at maybe 2006, 2007. We were doing a wedding venue near Warwick, and our arrival time was 6 o'clock, and we ate. And we were waiting for the couple to leave the room at 7:30 where they were having their meal and speeches. We were then, once we'd eaten, we were put in a holding room with the evening guests, which had a bar, but you couldn't get any drinks or anything. There were no staff in there. So it was us and all these guests. And we're in contact with the staff at the hotel at the wedding venue. And they keep coming in and keeping us informed. And time's going by. And we're booked to play 3 40-minute sets between 8:30 and 12, which is fine. So we're looking at our watches, and it's 8 o'clock, and they were supposed to be out of that room at 7:30. So we say to the staff, how long do you think they're going to be? Oh, they'll probably only be another half an hour. And in this room, suddenly the numbers are swelling. They've got loads of evening guests coming, and there's just like more and more guests. And we're like, what's going on here? It's 8:30. Then it was 9 o'clock. Then it was 9:30. Then it was 10 o'clock. And we're looking at ourselves going, well, there's no way we're going to do 3 sets. Not now. There's no time. So we'll do 2 like 50-minute sets. We'll go with that. So it's 10 o'clock, 10:30. You've got all these guests. They can't even get to the bar. They bought presents. They're not getting their evening food. Some of them probably haven't eaten since lunchtime because they were waiting for their feed at the wedding. The couple and their guests left their wedding breakfast at 11:30 at night. Complete disregard for their evening guests. Completely not bothered that they're wasting our time, and it's all been paid for. We got into that room at 25 past 11. We were set up and ready to go. Still in our we'd got changed into our suits and shirts and stuff. And so setting the PA up in our wedding gear. And we played from 20 to 12 till midnight. That was it, 20-minute set. We were basically being paid to hang around. And I've never known a gig like it. Never encountered that again. At 12 o'clock was a curfew, so they couldn't go later. And a lot of their wedding guests for the evening just got back in their cars and disappeared, left their wedding presents and just went. Not our problem, not our issue. We weren't to blame for anything, but the couple were just happy being in their wedding breakfast with the guests that were there. Weird, very weird. Never experienced it since. It was the bizarrest situation. So we literally, in 20 minutes, I think we played 6 songs. I think that was it. It was the shortest set ever. But there we go. So yeah, you were paid just for hanging around. Any part of the contract the folks give you crap about? No, it was usually the price. Deposit. Why have we got to pay 50%? Because then if you cancel, we haven't lost all the money. You'd get the couples that wanted specific songs as part of the background music in the breaks, and some of them, this was before we had mobile phone playlists, they would burn their own CDRs and give you those. Or the ones where they try and completely choreograph the whole night. This song has to be played at 9:54. This song has to be played at 10:11. This song has to be played at 11:43. And this, we're not talking about the band set. This is in terms of background music. It's just like, that's just crazy. You're going to send yourself nuts trying to, double down that level of detail. And invariably, they have all these grandiose ideas and plans, and then they're not even in the room anyway. And the weddings that went down to that level of minutiae, if you like, that level of detail, we didn't see the bride and groom after the first dance. They just disappeared. And that's usually my experience. The ones that were causing you so many headaches in the lead up to it just weren't around anyway. You could have played any old rubbish, they wouldn't have known. That doesn't mean you do or get away with it. You do as polished a performance as you can, but that's the example. So it's 11:05. Let's see. How many of you have we got on here at the moment? I can't see. I think there's 8 at the moment. Let's have a roll call. Who's there? Who's out there? Stacey, that precision is mood overkill for sure. Certainly was. It wears you down when you've got brides from hell and they are going into every little aspect. Dawson, good to see you. Excited for the Oasis reunion. Yeah, I'm kind of excited that I'm hoping it will get lots of people out playing guitars, forming bands. Reinvigorates the British music scene, maybe. I could do without the Gallagher brothers histrionics. We've been through that once before. I don't know. Well, as someone said earlier, if you're a fan, just buy tickets for the first night because there's no guarantee the other gigs will take place. The first one might, providing they don't kill each other in rehearsals. I think it's the financial aspect is what's focusing the mind here. But yeah, it's nice to have big gigs happening, Nice to have big gigs happening. I lived through all that first time round. I remember when I turned pro in 95, What's the Story, Morning Glory had just come out. I said it earlier on a post in Bass Chat that I just started gigging at that time, and I was doing loads of gigs, and every bar and club you went in literally had that album on rotation. Not even one song by them and then a song by someone else. Literally, they would just put the CD in, it would run the whole length and then start again. And that happened for months and months and months, and it just wore you down in the end. I was never a fan back then, and that just kind of was just like into another gig 5 months after the album had come out, and you got to listen to that over and over again. And yeah, kind of just wore you out a bit. Maybe they've mellowed. They haven't. They're still as arsey as they were before. We will see. I personally don't think they'll even get to the first gig. I think something will happen, or there'll be a discussion about money or something like that, and it'll all kick off. And Noel Gallagher will just walk away from it. He just won't be bothered. He can't be asked. But it's a nice payday, isn't it? That's the thing. It's a lovely payday. 40 million each they're both going to make, apparently, on the conservative estimate. Wonder if that includes your merch. It's not bad though, is it? Hey, I could do that gig. Lord knows I've played with Definitely Might Be. I could do all those songs in my sleep. I don't think I'm really what the brothers Gallagher want in a bass player, though. I don't look scruffy enough, and I'm washed. Yeah. Although talk is that it's just going to be Noel's High Flying Birds band and Liam. So we'll see. We'll see. We will see. How you doing, Dawson? How's life? You been busy this week? Any bass news? Maybe they've mellowed. I can't see it myself. I can't. Right, I think we're going to do about another 5 minutes and then we'll wrap this up. So if you've got any questions about bass guitars, effects, bass accessories, put them in the chat window. I'll reply. If you want to talk about how to make cash playing bass, happy to discuss that in the time we've got available. I might come back to that topic next week. So we will see. We'll see. If I get a lot of feedback over the week, a lot of people might watch tonight's live chat after the event and then have questions. So, Dawson, I've been reading Fender bass brochures from 2008. There's some good basses around then. A lot of signature models back then. A lot more than there are now. I bet the prices have changed. Different now. Everything's a lot more expensive. And that is the truth. As the ticker along the bottom says, if you want to buy Brooksy's Bass Corner merch, there are links in the description box below. I've got on Bass Center 40th anniversary merch, 40th anniversary t-shirt. 40 years this year since the Bass Center started up, opened its doors in Wapping in East London. It was a veritable Aladdin's cave of bass gear and goodies. And you could sit in there playing, drinking a cup of coffee, and John Entwistle would walk in. Or Pino Palladino might walk in, or Hugh McDonald from Bon Jovi might walk in, or Boz Burrell from Bad Company might be coming in to have his bass fixed up by Chris, or Norman Watroy from the Blockheads. These people would come to the bass center and mix with the rest of the customers. You could be standing looking at a wall of alembics and someone come up next to you who was famous. I met Roachford, the whole band, for the first time in 1998. I was in there for, cool, now that's a good idea. What was I in there for? I think I might have been buying my first Sons amp, and all of Roachford came in. I was a big fan of Roachford, big fan of Derek Taylor, their bass player. And Andrew Roachford's a tall chap. He was about 6'2", 6'3". Derek was the same. And I was like, hi, how you doing? And still in touch with Derek. We have chats occasionally on WhatsApp. I haven't heard from him for a while. But yeah, that's just, they were in checking out gear. Derek was stocking up on strings, I think, and I think he was part exchanging some basses and taking something else out, or collecting a bass from Chris in the workshop. And that's the sort of place it was. As you know, you could just mingle with the celebs, and anything you were after in terms of bass gear, it was there. And if they didn't have it, they could get it for you. It was great. Nothing they couldn't get. Fabulous shop. I miss it. I miss it a lot. It was great. It really was. And they're still going. Some of the same people. Barry Morehouse still running it. His wife Jill there as well. Chris from the the workshop. He's still working for Barry. So the bass center is now based in Bagshot in Surrey. It's not a retail store in the traditional sense of the word. You have to make an appointment if you want to pop down there. But the basses they're turning out are fabulous. It's bass center basses. They are distributors for a few things, actually. Let me just go on. I was having a look at this list the other day. So yeah, strings, NS Design, the Ned Steinberger uprights, and all the accessories that go with that. And you've got all the bass collection, the British Bass Masters basses. So they carry Phil Jones bass amplification. I don't know if they're the distributors. They might be, they might not. Phil Jones bass amplification, Tech 21 Sons amp pedals, Basics bass pedals and preamps. And then you got the bass center cables, the Ashbury bass, the acoustic collection. I don't know what that entails. And the Kahler U bass. And then accessories, they carry Babbage hardware, Leo Kwan Badass bridges, and then you've got various bass center exclusives. Let's see what that, and then there's bass collection, pickups and hardware. Let's have a look, see what the exclusives cover. T-shirt and cap, of course, key ring, gig bags, cables, straps, bass center, Hiscox cases, and microfiber polishing cloths. So all your bass center accessory requirements catered for. So yeah, but it really was the place. I spent many hours of my life in that store, not always buying stuff, checking stuff out. A formative Brooksy, learning all about basses. I used to sit in Chris's workshop while he was working on basses, have a coffee and talk to him, learn how to do stuff. Why do you do that? How does that work? If you turn the truss rod that way, why doesn't the neck do that, this, that, and the other? And he was always quite happy just to sort of impart, as long as you didn't annoy him. But if you just sat there and watched and didn't get in the way, he was fine with that. And I'd watch him working on all sorts of people's guitars, as well as watching the mountain of Hartke aluminium cone drivers diminish on a Saturday as people came in from their Friday night gigs the night before with cracked drivers. And he'd take their knackered ones, send them off, get them redone. They'd come back, and then they would go out the door as another week of destroyed Hartke cones were reconed. That's the way it was. I only had to go there once for one speaker when I had a 4x10 XL cabs. That was in December 97. I'd had the cab for about 5.5 years, and we were doing a gig at Christmas, and the cab had done a gig on the Thursday, stayed in the van and got cold. And we drove down to another gig on the Friday. It didn't have time to warm up in the venue. And so we went all hell for leather, all guns blazing. And one of my cones in my 4x10 went down. So the next day, we had a Plums gig, I think, in Vauxhall. That's right. So it meant I was able to go to the venue, drop my bass and my other stuff off, go down to the bass center with the knackered cone, swap it for a new one, part exchange it, and come away with the new one, and then put that into the cab. It's really easy to wire them up. They were great. Very good indeed. Dawson, it's when the grey amp switched over to the rugged travel case like large spaced mesh. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the Fender bass catalog. Okay. When the grey amp switched over to the rugged travel case like large spaced mesh. Okie dokes. Okay, gang, it's coming up to 11:20. I'm going to call it a day. We've been going for 3 hours and 20 minutes. So thank you, everyone, for getting involved. All the new viewers, all the people got involved on the live chat tonight. Dawson, Stacy, Joe Goose. So many of you. I run out of trying to remember everyone that's been on. Let me scroll through. Graham, Good to see you. Welcome back. Gareth Harrison, of course. Thank you for all your comments and getting involved. Jerry Blair, of course. Bill Clements on bass. Thank you for sticking your head above the parapet there. Blame Lewis. George Iliadis. Fabulous. Good to see the regulars on. Steve BBB, although you only commented once, but thank you anyway. Juice, good to see you too. Steffi, thanks for being out there. Keith Doherty as well. So on that note, I will love you and leave you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Same place, same time. Brooksy's Bass Corner for a live chat 78. If you're watching this on catch up, then still feel free to send comments, get involved. If you've got any questions about anything that's in the live chat, leave them in the comments box. I'll come back to you. Over the next week, hopefully reviews of the Flatley pedals, demos as well. The Bass Center, British Bassmasters Neil Murray Snakebite basses that you've seen here on the video tonight. Oh, someone's posted a comment. That'll be Stacy. Sweet. You all have a great rest of the week. Enjoyed this live chat. Thank you. Thank you. So the Snakebite basses will be going up. I've got some other demos. It's just keep going. So tomorrow I'm kind of out the door. I'll be at the gallery in London during the afternoon. If you want to come and say hello, or if you're in the vicinity, I'm picking up a bass from Viv Wilcock. Again, that video, hopefully demo review, will be up before next week's live chat. If there's anything you would like to see here on the channel that you can't find, or you think, oh, that made a good video, then let me know. You can always email me, brooksysbasscorner@gmail.com. And you'll find us on socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, Be Real, Reddit, Quora, Discord, and TikTok. Please give the video a thumbs up, even if you're watching this after the event. It's very helpful. Algorithm loves it. If you're going to give it a thumbs down, please leave a comment. Let me know what you don't enjoy or what you didn't like. Feel free to share this video or any of the other videos out to social media, email, websites, all very handy. Affiliate links in the description box below. So there's affiliate links for the Bass Center, for the 40th anniversary merch, the strings, and the basses. There's affiliate links for vidIQ, StreamYard, Top Cashback, Amazon Worldwide, Gear for Music, Andertons, and Thomann. I think that's everything. On that note, love you and leave you. Have a great week. See you next Tuesday. Take care of yourselves. If you're gigging over the week or the weekend, have a great gig or gigs. And I will see you next Tuesday. Take it easy, gang. See you soon. All the best.